Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Everyone has heard of the fabulous goose that laid the golden eggs, but trust Sir Arthur Conan Doyle to ring some changes on that story when he sends the world's favorite detective, Sherlock Holmes, on a wild goose chase.
Mr. Breckenridge, I was recommended to you by the landlord of the Alpha. He says that you have the finest geese in town.
Oh, yes. I sent him a couple dozen last week.
Mm-hmm. And I'd like to know where you got them.
And I shall tell you, I've never been so pestered in my life. Where are the geese? Who did you sell them to? What did you take for the geese? I'm through answering questions about the geese. So get out and take your friend with you.
Our mystery drama, The Adventure of the Blue Carbuncle, was adapted from the Sherlock Holmes classic especially for the Mystery Theater by Murray Burnett and stars Kevin McCarthy. It is sponsored in part by ARM, Allergy Relief Medicine, and Buick Motor Division. I'll be back shortly with Act One. So many of the Sherlock Holmes stories begin in that famous flat at 221B Baker Street that we overlook one obvious fact. The address is so well known, we assume everyone knows exactly where Baker Street is. And somehow I think that's a mistake. For those of you who've never been in London, let me place Holmes' headquarters more exactly. Baker Street runs from Regent's Park to Hyde Park. At the southern end, near Marble Arch, is the site of the United States Embassy. And so halfway between Regent's Park and Hyde Park, we join Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson at 221 Baker Street. And it wouldn't be amiss to wish them both a Merry Christmas.
The second morning after Christmas, 1893, I'd called upon my friend Sherlock Holmes with the notion of wishing him the compliments of the season. But I found him intently examining a very disreputable and seedy, hard felt hat. Seeing him thus occupied, I said, "Oh, if you're engaged, I don't mean to interrupt you."
Oh, my dear Watson, I'm delighted to have a friend with whom I can discuss my results. The matter of this hat is perfectly trivial, but there are some points of interest.
I suppose it's the clue which will guide you to the perpetrator of some crime.
No crime. This trophy belongs to Peterson, the commissioner at the club. You know him?
Oh, yes, of course. Is it his hat?
No. Peterson found it. The owner is unknown.
Oh. Well, how did you get it?
Well, I received it on Christmas morning in company with a good fat goose, which I have no doubt is roasting at this moment over Peterson's fire.
Well, what are you bothering with it at all for?
Come, Watson. You know my interest in even the smallest of problems. Peterson brought it and the goose to me under circumstances that piqued my curiosity.
Well, you certainly succeeded in whetting my appetite to know more. How did Peterson come by the hat and the goose?
Interestingly, he was returning home from a party about 4 o'clock Christmas morning. In front of him, he saw in the gaslight a tallish man walking with a slight stagger, carrying a white goose slung over his shoulder. As he reached the corner of Goodge Street and Tottenham Court Road, a row broke out between this stranger and a gang of toughs.
Oh, dear, I see. In the fracas, he lost his hat.
Yes. One of the rowdies knocked off his hat, and whereupon the man raised his stick to defend himself. But swinging it over his head, he smashed the shop window behind him.
Dear me, an unfortunate way to celebrate Christmas.
There's more misfortune to follow. Peterson ran forward to protect the stranger from his assailants, but the man, shocked at having broken the window and seeing an official-looking person in uniform rushing towards him, dropped his goose, took to his heels, and vanished.
And the toughs?
Also fled at the appearance of Peterson, so that he was left with the spoils of battle, his battered hat, and a most unimpeachable Christmas goose.
Which surely he restored to the owner.
My dear fellow, there lies the problem. It's true there was a small card tied to the bird's left leg on which was printed, "For Mrs. Henry Smith." It's likewise true that the initials HS are legible upon the lining of this hat. But there are some thousands of Smiths and quite a few hundreds of Henry Smiths in this city of ours. It's not easy to restore lost property to the rightful one.
I say, what happened to the goose?
I kept it until this morning, when there were signs that, in spite of the slight frost, it should be eaten without delay.
I see.
Therefore, it's now roasting on the hearth of the finder while I have the hat.
Didn't this Smith advertise?
No.
Then you have no way of establishing his identity.
Only as much as we can deduce from the hat.
Oh, you must be joking. What in the world can you gather from this old, battered felt?
Here's my lens. You know my methods. What can you gather yourself as to the individuality of the man who has worn this article?
I took the tattered object in my hands and turned it over rather ruefully. All I could see was that it was a very ordinary black hat, much the worse for wear. The lining had been of red silk, but was much discolored. There was no maker's name. I saw the initials. There seemed to have been some effort to hide the discolored patches by smearing them with ink. I handed it back, saying, I see nothing, Holmes.
On the contrary, Watson, you see everything, but you fail to draw inferences.
All right. Then you tell me what you can infer from that hat.
The man was fairly well-to-do within the last 3 years, although he has now fallen upon troubled days. He has foresight, but less now than formerly, pointing to a moral retrogression, which, when added to the decline of his fortunes, seems to indicate some evil influence, probably drink. This may also account for the obvious fact that his wife has ceased to love him.
Oh, my dear Holmes, I never heard such flights of fancy.
He has, however, retained some degree of self-respect. He leads a sedentary life, is middle-aged, has grizzled hair, which he has cut within the last few days, and he uses lime cream on his hair.
Oh, you must be joking.
Also, by the way, it's extremely improbable that his home is lighted by gas.
Oh, no, that's too much. But I'll skip that and go back to the deduction about his fortunes being in decline. Where do you see that?
This hat is 3 years old.
So you say?
These flat brims curled at the edge were fashionable then, but not since. It's a hat of the very best quality. Look at the band of ribbed silk and the excellent lining. If this man could afford to buy so expensive a hat 3 years ago, and could afford none since, then assuredly he's gone down in the world.
It's so obvious when you explain it. How about the foresight and the moral retrogression?
Here's the foresight, Watson. This little disc and the loop, which secures the hat against the wind. They're never sold with hats. This man ordered one, showing a certain amount of foresight, since he went out of his way to take this precaution against the wind.
But the elastic's broken.
Precisely, Watson. It's broken, and he hasn't troubled to replace it, although it's cheap and easy enough to have done. Therefore, he has less foresight than formerly.
I can't see that. Why isn't it that he just doesn't care?
Impossible. He's tried to conceal some of the stains on the hat by daubing them with ink, so he hasn't entirely lost his self-respect.
Well, I suppose you deduce that he's middle-aged, recently had his hair cut, and uses lime cream from an examination of some stray hairs found in the hat.
Good, Watson. If you use the lens on the lower lining, you will find a number of hairs clean cut by the scissors of the barber. There's a distinct odor of lime cream, and the hairs are adhesive.
Yes, fine. But the sedentary life.
The dust on the hat, Watson. Not the gritty gray dust of the street, but the fluffy brown dust of the house. The hat has been hung indoors most of the time.
But his wife, you said that she'd ceased to love him.
This hat hasn't been brushed for weeks. When I see you, my dear fellow, with a week's accumulation of dust upon your hat, and when your wife allows you to go out in such a state, I shall fear that you also have been unfortunate enough to lose your wife's affection.
My word. Well, he might be a bachelor.
Doctor, Doctor, you forget. He was bringing the bird home as a peace offering to his wife. Remember the card on the bird's leg?
Fair enough. But you will admit that you were guessing when you said he was without gaslight.
Not at all, not at all. One tallow stain on a hat, even two, may come about by chance. But when I see no less than 5, I think there can be very little doubt that the individual must come into frequent contact with burning tallow. Can you not see him, Watson, walking upstairs at night after a drinking bout with his hat in one hand and a guttering candle in the other?
Well...
Come, my old friend. You must admit he never got tallow stains from a gas jet.
Jove, you have an answer to everything. But all of this seems to be rather a waste of energy.
The goose! Mr. Holmes, the goose!
What of it? Has it returned to life and flapped off through the kitchen window?
See here, sir. See what my wife found in its crop.
By Jove, Peterson, that's treasure trove indeed. I suppose you know what you've got.
A diamond, sir. Precious stone.
It's more than a precious stone. It's the precious stone.
By Jove, the Countess of Morcar's Blue Carbuncle.
Bullseye, Doctor. I see you've been reading the advertisements in the Times also. There's a reward of £1,000, and that's not within a 20th of its market price.
£1,000? I'd have to go right off to the police with it.
No. You leave the stone with me, and I'll see that you'll get the reward.
And what will I tell my wife?
What did you tell her before you came here?
Well, that I was off to see you and then to the police.
Tell her the truth, that you wanted to go to the police, but I was the one who wouldn't have it.
The moment Peterson left, Holmes took the magnificent Blue Carbuncle and packed it very carefully and left Baker Street saying that he would return shortly, and if I cared to continue pursuing the answer to this puzzle, I should wait for him. Well, needless to say, I waited. Who is it?
Inspector Lestrade.
Lestrade. Come in. It's been a long time since we've met.
Where's Holmes?
Oh, I've no idea. He told me to wait for him. I expect him any moment. You have some little problem you think my friend can help you with?
This time the shoe's on the other foot, Doctor. It's Mr. Holmes who has the problem.
Well, I don't understand.
Well, I'm afraid your friend Holmes has made a serious mistake.
Ah, there, Lestrade. I was expecting you.
There's no doubt you were. I'm here to inform you that I have a warrant for your arrest, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
The unthinkable has happened. Sherlock Holmes under arrest. Now, we all know that Lestrade isn't the most brilliant officer at Scotland Yard, but he's honest and slow-moving. He also has a warrant, so it isn't Lestrade alone who believes Holmes is guilty of a crime. I'll continue with Act 2 shortly. Even the best of us cherish small victories. Although Sir Arthur Conan Doyle doesn't mention it, I suspect that Lestrade, so often proved wrong by the astute Sherlock Holmes, must have felt a measure of satisfaction when he placed the brilliant detective under arrest. Let's continue now and hear Holmes' reaction.
Come, Lestrade. Come, what is the charge?
Being in possession of stolen property.
You refer, of course, to the Countess of Morcar's Blue Carbuncle.
So you admit it?
Nonsense.
But how would you know what I was talking about unless...
Because I know righteous women, Inspector.
Meaning Mrs. Peterson?
Now you'll admit that's where you got your information from, won't you?
Nothing to be ashamed of. She's an honest, law-abiding citizen
who reacted predictably, and as I foresaw, when her husband told her I kept the stone and asked her not to inform the police. Now, here, read this note, which, as you will see, is upon the Countess of Morcar's own stationery and written in her hand.
As I see, from Mr. Sherlock Holmes, Esquire, the Blue Carbuncle, which was stolen from my suite at the Hotel Cosmopolitan upon the 22nd of December. I have given Mr. Holmes my bank check for £1,000 made out to Mr. Peter Peterson, who was responsible for the finding of the gem. Signed Helena Mercatus, Countess of Morcar.
So, Inspector, I am not in possession of any stolen property, but I've returned it to its rightful owner and will shortly deliver the reward to Peterson. Now, I want your word to keep this matter of the recovery of the carbuncle secret.
But why?
Because it's necessary that the man who stole it still believes that it's missing.
Oh, we have the thief.
I doubt that you have the right man.
Aha, so that's the way the wind blows. Once again, you're going to fly in the face of the evidence.
The evidence being?
Now, it's clear enough. This fellow John Horner is a plumber. He was working in the dressing room of the Countess, soldering the second bar of the grate, which was loose. Horner was showed to the room by the upper floor attendant of the Cosmopolitan named James Ryder.
Didn't he stay with him?
Well, for some time he did, but then he was called away. When he returned, Horner had disappeared. A bureau had been forced open, and a small Morocco casket lay empty upon the dressing table. Ryder instantly gave the alarm.
And Horner was then arrested in his lodgings, found to have been convicted on a previous robbery charge, and is now awaiting trial.
That's it. What makes you think we don't have the right man?
Several things. First, can you tell me how the stone went from Horner into the crop of the goose which Mrs. Peterson was cooking?
Not a moment. No doubt we'll find that out when he confesses.
But so far, he strongly protests his innocence.
They all do.
Another question which occurs to me is, how did Horner know exactly where the Countess kept the gem?
Well, it seems to me that these are questions that his defense counsel might raise at his trial. But since I'm a police officer, I don't think I have to answer them.
Well, suppose that I'm in position of finding a link in the chain. Would you then agree to keep the recovery of the stone quiet?
Well, it all depends on whether you're off on some flight of fancy.
I know for a fact, as you do, that the stone was in the crop of a goose in the possession of Mrs. Peterson. I also know that before it came into her possession, it was carried by a Mr. Henry Smith. I propose to locate this Mr. Smith and find out what part he played in this little mystery.
And if I agree, how do you intend to do that?
By the simplest means possible, an advertisement in the newspapers.
And so it was agreed. Lestrade left. An advertisement was placed reading, "Found at the corner of Good Street, a goose and a black felt hat. Mr. Henry Smith can have same by applying at 6:30 this evening at 221B Baker Street." I did my professional rounds the next day, but was back at Holmes' flat at 6 o'clock. My friend was waiting for me, lounging on the sofa in a purple dressing gown, thoughtfully staring at a plump white goose, which was conspicuous on the sideboard. He waved at it and said,
"Isn't that a fine-looking bird, Watson?"
Makes my mouth water. But I presume we're not going to have the pleasure of eating it.
Correct. If we receive an answer to our advertisement, this bird will put us a lot farther along the trail to the answer we seek.
You think Horner innocent?
That's putting it a shade too strongly. I'd rather say that the police have accepted all evidence at face value and made no effort to answer the questions I put to Lestrade here yesterday. However, Mrs. Hudson is preparing our dinner, which we shall have at 7, unless we're interrupted.
Before we could start dinner, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to admit a tall man in a Scotch bonnet with a coat buttoned up to his chin. Holmes rose from the sofa to greet him.
Mr. Henry Smith, I believe.
Oh, yes, that's my name.
Pray take this chair by the fire, Mr. Smith.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Holmes. It is Mr. Sherlock Holmes, isn't it?
Yes, and this is Dr. Watson.
I do. Well, I don't mean to be impertinent, but I'm at a loss to understand how a man of your reputation comes to be involved in a matter concerning a goose and a hat.
This is your hat, sir.
Oh, yes, thank you.
But since you know my identity, you must also know my disposition for observation and oblige me by putting it on.
Oh, of course.
A perfect fit. Well, sir, we've retained these things for you for some days because we were looking for an advertisement from you giving your address.
Well, shillings aren't so plentiful with me as they once were. I believe that gang of roughs who assaulted me had made off with both my hat and the bird. I didn't care to spend more money in a hopeless attempt to recover them.
Quite so. Oh, by the way, about the bird, we were compelled to eat it.
Oh, to eat it?
Yes, I'm sure that you understand it would have been of no use to anyone had we kept it here for this length of time.
Oh, yes, I can see that.
However, would this other goose upon the sideboard, which is about the same weight and perfectly fresh, be a suitable replacement for the one you lost?
Oh, that's very handsome of you, Mr. Holmes, and I'll be very happy with this bird.
One more thing. We still have the feathers, legs, and crop of your own bird if you wish to...
Outside of serving as reminders of my adventure, I see no earthly use for them. So with your kind permission, I'll just take this excellent bird and be running along.
Oh, one moment, by the way. You see, I'm somewhat of a fowl fancier, and I've seldom seen a better-grown goose than the one that you lost. Would you mind telling me where you bought it?
Oh, not at all. A few of us frequent the Alpha Inn near the museum. Well, this year our good host started a goose club, the purpose of which was to see that all of us, by paying a few pence a week, would each receive a fine goose at Christmas. Well, the rest you know. And once again, gentlemen, my thanks.
The door had not long closed on Mr. Smith before Holmes turned to me and said,
It's quite certain our friend Smith knows nothing of the matter. Are you hungry, Watson?
"No, not particularly."
Then I suggest that we turn our dinner into a late supper and follow up this clue while it's hot.
Or perhaps we could even get a bite at the Alpha whilst we chat with the landlord. One glass of beer with the genial landlord of the Alpha elicited the information that he'd purchased Smith's goose, along with the others for the club, from a Covent Garden dealer named Breckenridge. When we reached his stall, he was about to put up the shutters for the night.
Good evening, Mr. Breckenridge. Cold night.
You must have some reason to be out in it.
I see you sold out of geese.
Well, let's have 500 tomorrow morning.
I'm afraid that won't do.
Well, there's some in the store yonder with a gas flare.
Oh, yes, but you were particularly recommended to me.
Who by?
By the landlord of the Alpha.
Oh, yeah, I sent him a couple of dozen.
Fine birds they were, too. Now, where did you get them?
Out in midst out with it, and you'd better make it straight.
Well, straight enough. I should like to know who sold you the geese you supplied to the Alpha.
And I'm not telling you. Now be off.
Why should you be so warm over a trifle?
If you were as pestered lately as I am, you'd be warm too. When I pay good money for a good article, there should be an end to the business. But every day it's, where are the geese? Who did you sell the geese to? And what would you take for the geese?
Well, I have no connection with other people who've been making inquiries. But I'm always willing to back my opinion on a matter of fowls, and I have a fiver on it that the bird I ate is a country bird.
And you lost your fiver for its town bred.
It's nothing of the kind.
You think you know more about fowls than I, who've handled them ever since I've been a nipper? I tell you that all those birds went to the Alpha were town bred.
You'll never get me to believe that.
Now, since you seem to be a betting man, would you care to make a wager on the matter?
Oh, I'd just be taking your money. But to teach you not to be obstinate, I'll put a sovereign against you.
You may as well hand me the sovereign now. Bill, bring me the books. And when I have a Mr. Cocksure, I'll prove to you that there's still one goose left in my shop, and that's you. Well, thank you, Bill. Now, this book lists the names of all the folk from whom I buy.
Mm-hmm.
On this page here are the country folk, and their numbers after their names are where their accounts are on the big ledger. Now then, you see this page in red ink?
Mm-hmm.
That's a list of my town supplies. Now, look at the third name and read it out to me.
Mrs. Oakshott, 117 Brixton Road, 249.
Just so. Now, turn that up in the big ledger. There. You have it. Read that last entry.
December 22. 24 geese at 7 shillings 6pence.
There you are. Underneath.
Sold to Mr. Windigate of the Alpha at 12 shillings.
What have you to say now?
Well, what can I say? Here. Here's your sovereign. Well, that's the last time I take a bet with a tradesman. Come on, Watson.
What? Well, you were fortunate that you managed to get him to wager with you, Holmes.
Not fortunate. Observant. When you see a man with whiskers of that cut, with a pink betting slip protruding from his pocket, the odds are all in your favor that he can be drawn by a bet. If I'd put 100 pounds down before him, I'd never have gotten such complete information as he gave me, because he thought he was getting the best of a wager.
I've had enough of you and your geese. Any more talk of geese and I'll shut the door.
Come, Watson, come.
Right.
I didn't buy the geese off you.
But one of them was mine all the same.
We'd like a word with you. Come on, Watson. The fellow's taken to his heels.
George, that chap runs like a hare.
You won't get away, and it'll be worth your while to talk with us.
Tell the smasher that I can't give him what I ain't got. But I'm still trying.
A famous nursery rhyme about the theft of a goose goes in part like this. John, John, the gray goose is gone, and the fox is off to his den. Although not strictly applicable in this Sherlock Holmes tale because we're not sure who the fox is, nevertheless, we'll track him to his den when we continue with Act 3. Everyone's familiar with the phrase, your goose is cooked. In the adventure of the Blue Carbuncle, the cooking of the goose marked the beginning rather than the finish of a story. We pick up Sherlock Holmes and the faithful Watson hot on the trail of a man who's also interested in the whereabouts of the cooked goose, which was the receptacle for the world-famous Blue Carbuncle.
It's useless, Watson. We've lost him. Time to stop using our feet and start employing our brains.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, Holmes, because to tell the truth, I'm not in the best of shape for running through the streets of London. What do we do?
Follow up 2 clues that have been given to us. The Smasher is an infamous name in the London underworld.
Oh.
I have ways of reaching him, and
Mrs. Oakshott?
No, not quite yet. We've discovered where the goose was grown. Now, I think we should set about checking where it fed.
I left my friend to go to my home, but made an appointment to have dinner with him the following night. Much to my surprise, when I arrived, I found Inspector Lestrade of the Yard sitting opposite Holmes. Lestrade had a long face.
Watson, the Inspector Superiors at Scotland Yard are expressing some concern over the fact that they may look foolish if it turns out that they have once again arrested the wrong man.
They're much more concerned of our rowdy disturbance at the Hotel Cosmopolitan this morning.
What has that to do with me?
Now, come off it, Mr. Holmes. I know what a marvel you are at disguises, and I'll bet my last copper that you were one of those toughs that got into a disgraceful brawl in front of the hotel today.
Indeed, Inspector. And can you advance any reason why I should be involved in such a fracas?
Because you're still poking around about the Countess of Moorcar's Blue Carbuncle.
Well, I'm convinced Horner is innocent, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to marshal enough facts for you to render me some assistance.
You admit you need our help.
In this matter, definitely.
And what do we get out of it?
I think I can promise to save you and the Yard some embarrassment in the matter of the man now in jail.
First, I'd like to know what you want from us.
I want you to pick up the Smasher.
The Smasher? On what charge?
Doesn't matter. Anything that will hold him overnight. Use the brawl at the Cosmopolitan.
He wasn't there.
But 2 of his boys were.
So you were the other man.
That's of no moment now. What is important is that the smasher should be out of the way tonight.
Why? Do you think this smasher took the carbuncle?
At the moment, I have only suspicions. What I do know is that the smasher is involved. Else why would two of his tops be posted at the Cosmopolitan entrance?
Most of the people who stay at the Cosmopolitan are wealthy. The smasher might have had some other reason.
Granted, but the fight didn't start until they found out someone else was inquiring about Mr. James Ryder.
Oh?
Who quite coincidentally called in sick today. He was not at work.
Mightn't he have been really ill?
If my theory is correct, he is ill of fright. I think Mr. Ryder knows something that the smasher wants to know. And that knowledge has frightened him half to death.
After some grumbling and a promise from Holmes that the yard could release the smasher the first thing in the morning, Lestrade agreed. Holmes and I immediately set out for Ryder's lodgings, which weren't too far from Mrs. Oakshot's address in Brixton Lane. Ryder had a room tucked away at the top floor of a small house at the end of a mews. As we approached it, Holmes warned me.
Now keep a sharp eye out for anyone loitering around the entrance, Watson.
You think the smasher has some of his men watching the house?
I think it's a distinct possibility. I'm not concerned about them watching. I just don't want them preventing us from entering. There they are.
Oh, yeah.
Follow my lead now. I don't want you getting any wrong ideas now, mister. My sister's a very refined gal. Not the sort you can play tricks with. She's used to gentlemen. You understand?
You told me all that in the pub. But I don't have any wrong ideas. I'll behave in a proper fashion. We weren't challenged as we entered, and whilst we were climbing the stairs, Holmes complimented me.
You did well out on the street, Watson. Just enough to throw them off the scent if they had instructions to stop anyone who might be looking for Mr. James Ryder. Here we are.
Who's there?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. Open up.
What do you want?
I can be of assistance to you in the matter that's troubling you.
What do you know about it?
I know everything about it.
How do I know it isn't a trick to get me to open?
You're interested in geese, or rather one goose, white, with a black bar across its tail, which was sold to Mr. Windigate of the Alpha Inn and given by him to Mr. Henry Smith.
Oh, sir, you're the very man I've longed to meet. I can hardly tell you how interested I am in this matter. Well, come in quickly.
These elaborate precautions for your safety won't be necessary, Ryder. The smasher's in jail, and that's where you'll be very shortly, unless you tell me the few things I need to know to make my case complete.
Oh, for Lord's sake, have mercy, sir. Don't have me thrown in jail. Think of my father. Think of my mother. Oh, please, sir, have mercy.
I'm thinking of John Horner, the innocent man you put in the dock for a crime he didn't commit.
I leave the country. I won't give evidence against him. Then the charge will be dropped.
We shall see. First, I will tell you that I have almost every link in my hands and all the proofs a prosecutor would need. So I'll be able to check you if you lie.
Oh, I promise, sir. You shall have it all.
Very well. Now, you decided to steal the stone. When and why?
Well, I wanted to get married. You see, Catherine Cusack and...
Her ladyship's waiting maid.
Oh, yes, well, I was mad for her, and she said the only way she'd have me was if we had a nest egg to set aside. Then she told me where the Countess kept her gem, but I could see no way for us to get it and not be suspected until I heard about Horner.
Indeed, Ryder, there's the making of a very pretty villain in you. When you learned that Horner, the plumber, had been mixed up in some such matter before, you laid your plans. You and your confederates created some small job in my lady's room, knowing that Horner should be sent for. He did the job, left, then you rifled the jewel case, raised the alarm, and had the poor soul arrested. Yes, all this I know. Now, How came the stone into the goose, and the goose into the open market, and how did the smasher get into the picture? The truth now, for that's your only hope.
Well, after Horn had been arrested, it seemed to me I'd best get away with your stone at once, for I was afraid the police might take it into their heads to search me and my room.
A pity they didn't.
Well, I wish it had never happened. Believe me, it was the first time, and I was really in a sweat. I left the hotel, as if on some errand, and went to my cousin's house. Now, she lived in Brixton Road, where she fattens fowls for market. When I got there, she asked me what was wrong, because I was so pale and in a sweat despite the cold. Well, I told her I had been upset about the robbery in the hotel. Then I went into the backyard and smoked a pipe and wondered what was the best thing to do.
Mm-hmm. And that was when you got the idea about the goose.
No, not at first. I was thinking about how to turn the stone into money. I knew I'd have to have help, and that's when I thought of the smasher. But I just couldn't face the idea of going out into the street again with the stone in my pocket. Well, I saw the geese waddling about, and I remembered my cousin had promised me the pick of her geese for a Christmas present.
Mm-hmm. Then it was then that you got the ingenious idea of secreting the stone in the goose.
Well, Mr. Holmes, I was sure I'd found a perfect hiding place. I drove one of the birds behind a little shed in the yard, cut it, and pried its bill open, and pushed the stone down its gullet as far as my fingers could reach. The bird gave a gulp, and I knew it swallowed the stone, but the creature flapped and struggled, and out came my cousin to see what was the matter. As I turned to speak to her, the bird broke loose and fled off among the others.
Ah, so you were, so to speak, a gone goose.
Well, I didn't think so at the time. My cousin had picked out another bird for me, but I remembered the bird I had, a big white one with a barred tail, and I insisted that was the one I wanted.
Had you kept your eye on it?
Well, as well as I could. My cousin was a little hot because I wouldn't take the bird they'd expressly fattened for me. But anyway, she told me to go ahead and take my bird, and turned and went back into the house.
Mm-hmm. So you wasted no time, but slaughtered the bird, and then?
Well, then I slung it over my shoulder and went about getting to see the smasher. I'd heard of him about the hotel.
So you're the shrimp what's been asking for me, eh? All right now, what's it all about?
Well, I've got something I want to dispose of.
Something hot, huh?
I guess so.
You lifted something.
Well, yes, you might say.
I want to know how you heard about me.
You know a man named Monley?
Of course I do. He's doing 5 to 10 in Pentonville. How do you know Monley?
Well, he used to work where I do. The Hotel Cosmopolitan.
Don't tell me you're the bloke what pinched that there Blue Carbuncle of the Countess.
I am.
Well, now, maybe there's more to you than meets the eye. You got it with you?
Yes.
Let's have a look.
Now, hold on a minute. You have to understand, this is... Well, I'm not really experienced in this sort of deal. How does it work?
Like clot of cream. Smooth as a whistle. 70% for me and 30 for you.
Well, that seems like an awful lot for you.
Look, mate, I'm the one who's taking all the risks. Let me see the stone. What is it?
Right, yeah. In the goose.
In the... Like I said before, maybe there's more to you than appears on the surface. Here, take me knife.
Oh, thank you. Now, it should be right here. In the crop.
What kind of a game are you trying to play, shrimp?
Well, it's got to be here. I felt it go down. I know it's here.
Stop messing about with that bird and tell me what you really did with the stone.
Well, it's been a mistake. Well, I must have taken the wrong bird.
I'll say there's been a mistake.
Let me go.
I know the likes of you. You didn't like the split, so you're thinking of talking to Tyndall.
No. I'll never hit Tyndall, I swear. I just got the wrong bird. Let me go. I'll go back to my cousins and get the right one.
Oh, all right, mate. Maybe you're giving it to me straight. You run back to wherever you got this bird and get the right one. But from now on, the boys will be watching you every blessed minute.
I'll be back inside an hour. You'll see. I promise.
And when you got back to your cousins, the goose was gone.
You got it, sir. And I've been out of my mind trying to trace the bird and stay away from the smasher. Now, that's the whole story. Say, what's going to happen to me?
Well, if you do as I say, much less than you deserve.
Oh, sir, I'll do anything.
Now, first, you will tell Catherine Cusack to hand in her notice to the Countess.
Oh, I will, I swear.
And then you will leave the country.
Oh, I will, but the smasher...
Will lose all interest in you when he discovers that you don't have the gem.
Oh, God bless you, sir. I swear that I'm...
No more words before I change my mind. Come, Watson. We have to keep our word with Lestrade.
After informing Lestrade that he could release the smasher and that the case against Horner would be quietly dropped when no witness would testify, Holmes and I were walking slowly back toward Baker Street. He must have read my thoughts because he said...
And don't be disturbed because you think I've compounded a felony by not handing Ryder over to the police.
Holmes, by Jove, how did you know what I was thinking?
My dear friend, your face is an open book.
Oh, well,
but look at it this way. We have saved an innocent man, and perhaps also a soul. This Ryder is too frightened to go wrong again. And after all, it is Christmas, the season of forgiveness.
When you put it that way, I confess it makes me feel better.
And since we passed White's on our way back, why don't we drop in for dinner? I have a ridiculous craving for roast goose.
So it seems that Charles Dickens isn't the only English writer who wrote a Christmas story. Although I'll admit that Ebenezer Scrooge is better known than Sherlock Holmes for celebrating the spirit of Christmas. I'll be back shortly. Although Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote a number of stories which didn't involve Sherlock Holmes, and one notable novel, The White Company, it's been a well-kept secret that he collaborated with Sir James Barrie of Peter Pan fame on an operetta. I wish, although I know it's in vain, that someday someone would put it on so that we could see just what kind of librettist Doyle was. Our cast included Kevin McCarthy, Court Benson, William Griffiths, and Lloyd Battista. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown.
Many people come from very far away and climb this big mountain to ask me about the meaning of life. But then someone asks me, how do you fix a leaky faucet? Forget it, buddy. Questions of this nature I cannot answer. So if you have questions of this nature, I can save you a very big trip up this mountain. Send away for free consumer information catalog. It is put out by the federal government and it lists over 200 consumer booklets that you can send away for. Most of them are free and all of them very helpful. They can tell you things about how to fix your automobile, how to buy a home, family budgeting, camping, and many other things. So write your free catalog to Catalog, Pueblo, Colorado, 81009. That is Catalog, Pueblo, Colorado, 81009. Remember, the road of life is paved with leaky faucets.
A public service message brought to you by the Consumer Information Center and this station.
And now, a preview of our next tale.
He's recently moved here from New York, hasn't adapted to the diplomatic way of doing things. Well, let's get this over with. Okay. Come in, Sergeant. I think I've got our first real lead. Miss Reed? No, forget her. She's the scrupulous type. Drives 40 miles to return fountain pens. It's Lomas. I see. First you want me to put a tail on Miss Reed,
and checked Simpson's bank account, and now it's Lomas.
I think he knew Simpson was going to shoot himself.
The case is closed, Fritz.
What?
It's closed, Sergeant Mangle.
Who's this?
This is Barney Judd. He's from the Department of Defense, the Pentagon.
So what gives? You mean you guys are taking over the investigation?
There is no more investigation, Sergeant.
But you gotta listen to me.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Contact, the 12-hour allergy capsule. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ringing of that phone bell means mystery, adventure.
Nero Wolf's office, Archie Goodwin speaking. Yes? Good. Yes, I know that in 48 hours it's going to be Christmas, but who is this? Who? Look, I'm a big boy now, so... Okay. Tonight at 8. Goodbye.
What the devil was that?
This may come as a shock to you, Mr. Wolf, but that was Santa Claus.
You been drinking?
Uh-huh, the usual, milk. He's coming to see you at 8. He's got a problem.
Indeed.
It seems that some low, not to mention murderous character is going around slaughtering Santa Clauses.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the bulkiest, balkiest, smartest, and most unpredictable detective in the world. That chair-born genius, Nero Wolfe. Created by Rex Stout and brought to you in a new series of adventures over this NBC network in the person of Mr. Sidney Greenstreet.
Began earlier than 8, however, the case of the slaughtered Santas. It began, to be precise, on the corner of 34th Street and Carlisle. The hour was close to 6, the weather cold, the sky dark.
How you doing, Santa?
I'm freezing to death, officer.
It's a cold day. You packing up?
Yeah, I guess so. Not many people around anymore.
Oh, heading for home and dinner. How was the collection?
Well, I don't need no armored car, but a few dozen kids are going to have something for their Christmas stockings.
Your competition, the guy in the opposite corner, is already screaming.
Probably got low blood pressure. Yeah, give me a hand to get the collection pot off the chains, eh?
Sure, there you go.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I'll just walk you down the block. Got to phone in.
Okay, fine.
One Santa's still left. Wonder what he's waiting for.
Santa Claus.
Well, watch yourself going down those chimneys tonight, eh?
Sure. Well, I'll cut across the avenue here. Be seeing you.
Hey, that car coming down the street. Got its lights out. Look out!
Hey, Peg.
Huh?
Ever tell you I love you?
Ah, it's not me you love. It's a hot soup.
Now, you're not the only woman who can cook a dish of soup.
Huh?
It helps, though. I'm just beginning to thaw out.
Yeah, that's a cold corner you play Santa Claus on.
Well, don't hurt to make a few bucks. I ain't done so good this past year. Well, maybe the next year will be... Oh, well. Besides, I kind of like it, you know. Kids asking questions all day long.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder how they figure the other two Santas at the intersection.
Kids think of only one thing at a time. More soup?
Sure, Peg. You know, one of them other Santas got hit by a car tonight.
Oh?
Yeah, he packed up a few minutes before I did, started crossing the avenue, and bang! Hit-and-run driver.
Oh, gosh, that's too bad. Was he hurt?
Yes, he was killed.
Here's your soup. Oh, with traffic the way it is nowadays. Well, I better take a look at the stew.
Somebody at the door. I'll get it, Peg.
Okay.
Yeah, what? Oh!
Mike!
Yes, Archie?
I've been thinking.
Good heavens.
Oh, I admit it won't bring about a national emergency, but Mr. Wolf, Christmas is only a couple of days away.
If you're hinting about your present...
No. I was just imagining you behind a team of reindeer.
Your imagination is morbid.
You'd make a wonderful Santa Claus.
Phooey.
You got the perfect build for it. Of course, as for character...
Archie.
Yeah?
Can you picture me scrambling down a chimney?
Well, they might have to build bigger chimneys, but...
Bah.
There's that, too. However...
That is the front door.
True. I was thinking...
You might see who it is.
Well, if nobody's been lying to me on the phone, that'll be Santa Claus.
Let him in.
But I haven't decided what I want for Christmas yet, Mr. Wolf. For example, should she be blonde or brunette, tall or short?
Archie.
On my way. Good evening.
I dislike dawdling on anyone's doorstep.
Well, stop dawdling. Come in, please.
Mr. Wolf has been warned of my arrival?
He has. Through here. Mr. Wolf, this is, Santa Claus?
My name is Barton, John Barton.
How do you do, sir?
I have no time for the social graces, Mr. Wolf. I'm about to be murdered.
Hardly in my house. I have objections.
I'm a frightened man, Mr. Wolf.
Indeed.
This costume you see me in is responsible for it all.
Why are you in it?
I had a notion it might be, well, entertaining to play Santa Claus in public. I'm a wealthy man, sir. I can afford to have whims. Therefore, I have assumed this masquerade. However, it apparently is going to be the death of me.
Mr. Barton, you have adequately conveyed an atmosphere and an emotion. I suggest you concentrate on facts now.
Very well. I have been acting as Santa Claus for the Tuberculosis Fund. My station is the corner of 34th Street and Carlisle Avenue. I might add the northeast corner.
Why?
Because at that intersection there have been two other Santa Clauses. One on the southeast corner and one on the southwest corner.
3 Santa Clauses, then, on 3 corners.
Yes. Now then, earlier tonight, the man on the southwest corner started home. He was crossing the avenue when he was run down and killed by an automobile.
A regrettable accident.
The car was running without lights. It deliberately ran the fellow down and then vanished. Not an accident, Mr. Wolf.
You saw this yourself?
I did. 1 Santa Claus dead. The man on the southeast corner got home all right. According to the radio news flash, that's where he was killed by bullets.
Coincidence?
Possibly, but I wouldn't want to risk my life on the chance.
This is Friday night. In the nature of things, you would have made 2 more appearances. Very well, Mr. Barton.
I'll write you a check as a retainer, then hurry along home. I'm late now.
No.
I beg your pardon.
You will neither hurry home nor notify anyone at your home of your whereabouts.
But
you will remain here until such time as I think it's safe for you to leave. The house is well guarded.
I can't do that.
In which case, I cannot accept you as a client.
I fail to understand.
Mr. Barton, it is very easy to murder someone. Avoiding the consequences of such an action is something else again. However, I'm assuming that you're not primarily interested in what happens to your murderer after you're dead.
Of course not.
Therefore, you will remain here. Archie?
Yep.
First, the corner of 34th and Carlisle, a complete report.
But that's nonsense. The corner will be deserted now.
Mr. Barton, you're hiring my intelligence. You will therefore permit me to use it as I see fit. A complete report, Archie?
Right, sir.
You will then visit Inspector Crane at headquarters. You will, in whatever manner you find effective, collect all the police information about the 2 already murdered Santas.
Fine. The manner, I think, will be applying a blowtorch to the inspector's toes.
Your levity is ill-timed.
The inspector is likely to throw me out of my ear.
Your problem.
My ear?
And on your way home, you might stop in at Mr. Barton's place.
I don't see any purpose in that.
Mr. Barton, there is a basic problem to which we must find an answer. Whether those 2 men were murdered because they were Santa Clauses, or because their deaths were merely preliminaries to yours. Archie, I suggest haste.
Yes, sir.
And avoid blondes. I would like you to be home in time for Christmas.
Hey, Bud.
Yeah?
Got the price of a cup of coffee?
You sure you mean coffee?
Either you're gonna dig it up or you ain't. Never mind the questions about my personal affairs, see?
Oh, I apologize. Here.
2 bits. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Don't let me keep you.
You're not. 34th in Carlisle, huh? During the day filled with milling throngs? Hey, that's a nice phrase. I'll have to remember it. Milling throngs. And now desolate and deserted. Well, that's life.
Is that a fact?
That's philosophy.
Yeah? Well, for 2 bits, I don't have to listen to no philosopher, see? Good night, bud.
Uh-oh. The inspector's got company.
If all you reporters will shut up and ask your questions one by one, I'll answer.
Inspector Kramer, it's true a couple of Santa Clauses have been knocked off tonight?
It's true that 2 men who have been employed as Santa Claus by charitable organizations have been murdered, yes.
Any connection between those 2 guys, or does somebody just hate Santa Claus?
Well, so far as we know, there is no connection.
That means it could be maybe some kind of maniac who's decided he doesn't like Christmas or Santa Claus. Is that right?
The department is investigating along those lines.
Like how?
Well, we're checking all the local asylums for possible escaped lunatics.
Yeah, but Inspector, suppose this nut has never been in an asylum.
That'll be all, boys.
Oh, but listen now.
I said that'll be all now. Anything new comes in, you'll get it, understand? Good one.
Hello, Inspector.
Yeah, I spotted you coming in. What happened? You decided to reform and got a job on a paper?
Nope. I'm a public-spirited citizen, that's all.
Yeah, I could add a few things to that description with practically no strain at all.
Mr. Wolf and I are very sentimental about Christmas. We object to Santa Claus being killed.
Nuts.
Oh, Inspector, aren't you in favor of Christmas?
I'm in favor of Christmas. I'm in favor of motherhood.
Leave motherhood out of this. Neither of us are mothers. Our chances of becoming mothers aren't too good either. And furthermore...
Okay, you're not giving, so get out of here.
Thank you, Inspector.
But Goodwin,
Yeah?
in case Wolf decides to send me something for Christmas, you know what I wish he'd send me?
What?
Your head.
Well,
Oh.
now I know what I want for Christmas.
What did you say?
I said my name is Goodwin and it's cold on your doorstep.
Oh, I'm sorry. Come in.
Mm-hmm. You didn't mention your name.
I'm Laura Barton.
Mrs. Laura Barton?
No,
Fine. That is, what relation are you to John Barton?
his niece. Why do you ask?
Oh, you've got a beautiful voice. All this marble and no butler?
I don't know where Pleasant is. He should be here.
Have him shot at sunrise.
Oh, Laura.
Oh, Wayne, this is Mr. Goodwin.
Never heard of him. What does he want?
Well, I don't know.
Wayne what?
Stevens?
Uh-huh. Friend of Mr. Barton?
Half-brother, but we seem to be doing all the answering. How about your answering some questions, Goodwin?
I'll try.
Come into the library. What do you want?
For Christmas? Erase that. I would like to see Mr. Barton.
He's not home.
Where is he?
Don't you know?
I wouldn't have come here asking for him if I did, would I?
I suppose that's true. What did you want with him?
Conversation.
About?
Anything. You see, I like to talk to rich men. Are you rich?
I can't play the piano either.
You could always learn. But being rich is harder, I found it.
Mr. Goodwin, you must have some reason for coming here, some reason concerning Uncle.
Laura, you're being imaginative.
Well, Uncle is late.
He's probably still on that street corner playing Santa Claus. He enjoys it. Why bother about
I
what...
don't know, except...
He's never been as late as this?
Well, no. Not since he started that masquerade of his.
Would you happen to know where the butler is?
Out getting drunk, I suspect. He was in the kitchen a little while ago. Disappeared. Pleasant likes to look on the wine when it's red. Or even when it's rye. No, I take that back.
Oh, you do?
He prefers Irish whiskey. We don't stock it. Therefore...
Oh, too bad. I better run along. Good night, Mr. Stevens. Miss Barton.
Good night.
I'll see you out.
Prettiest butler I ever saw. Blonde. Now, old Dr. Tidmouse always said, beware of blondes because...
Mr. Goodwin,
Well, I'm waiting.
Well, Mr. Goodwin, you must know something about Uncle. Something you didn't want to tell us.
Makes you think so?
Well, otherwise your visit was just pointless.
Let's suppose I know. Now, I might be a kidnapper.
Oh, no.
My honest brown eyes.
Your first name is Archie, isn't it?
Archie? Archie Goodwin. Goes together nicely, don't you think?
You work for Nero Wolfe. You're going back to him now?
I might be, but then again, I might be going to the movies.
I recognized you. Your pictures have been in the papers. Take me with you to see Mr. Wolf. You can trust me.
I never trust blondes.
Oh, that's unfair.
Well, no, I don't trust brunettes either. Furthermore, I'm not sure Mr. Wolf would want to see you, so
So?
So why don't you, trail me home, hmm?
Is that you, Archie?
Archie? Where's Santa Claus?
Guest room. He was tired. What,
I've been trailed home.
Indeed?
By a blonde.
Phooey.
All right, I admit I didn't make any strenuous effort to shake her off, but she trailed...
Where is she?
Outside.
Good. Your report.
Oh, but she might freeze to death out there.
That's her problem. Your report, Archie.
It's short and simple.
It would be simple.
I haven't got time to resent that. A blonde is dying. As for the report, corner of 34th and Carlisle is a very quiet spot at night. No one was around, but a bum who got into me for a quarter. For coffee, he said.
You will not put that quarter on the expense account.
Stop worrying. That was a private gesture. There were 4 corners. Corner number 1 had a dress shop on it. Corner number 2, a drugstore with a beautiful redhead in the window making with a hair rinse. The ad said her name was Noreen, but it didn't give her phone number.
Archie.
3rd corner was devoted to a shoe store, and the 4th corner had a bank on it.
A bank?
Uh-huh. Kind of thought we'd have a pause at that point. Mean something?
Inspector Kramer's information consisted
Oh,
of...
you're being coy. Kramer furnished the information the police could find no connection between the 2 murdered Santas.
Except for the fact that they were both playing Santa Claus.
Well, isn't that a little on the obvious side?
This is an obvious case. The Barton home, Archie.
Marble and old lace. The butler, his name is Pleasant, was among those missing. Among those present, Laura Barton, the old man's niece, and Wayne Stevens, his half-brother.
Ah.
Yeah, only for Laura. Stevens was not at all pretty.
It was Laura Barton who followed you here.
It was Laura.
Archie, go upstairs and...
Oh, now, wait a minute. The girl, the weather, common humanity demands that you have...
Louis, you speak for yourself, not humanity.
I'm human.
On occasion, a debatable point. Very well. Let her in.
Ah, thanks. Laura,
Yes?
come in. Laura Barton, Mr. Wolf.
How do you do?
How much money do you inherit on the death of your uncle?
What?
That is known as the shock treatment. However, I need an answer.
Uncle isn't dead, is he?
That, for the moment, is irrelevant. How much?
Half his estate.
The other half?
Wayne, Uncle's half-brother.
Very well. Archie, will you go upstairs and inform Mr. Barton that his niece is here?
Uncle is here?
On my way.
Yes?
Archie, Mr. Barton.
Come in.
Mr. Wolf would like you to come downstairs.
I suppose he has a reason.
Mm-hmm. A blonde reason, your niece.
My niece?
That's right. Hey, where'd you get that?
A man of my wealth finds it safer to carry a revolver.
Yeah, but it's not safe to point it at people, especially for the people.
Turn around, Goodwin.
But, Mr. Barton, we're protecting you.
By letting that girl into the house? If I had the time, I'd be amused. As it is...
Archie, you been gone? Good heaven.
Uh-huh. Santa Claus came early.
Your head.
Which one are you referring to, my own or the one Santa gave me?
You had better sit.
No, I had enough trouble getting up a little while ago. I'm staying out of any positions in which I might have to do that again. Mr. Barton is among the missing.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. Hit me on the head and used the back exit. I checked with Fritz in the kitchen on the way here.
He offered a reason for his peculiar behavior?
Laura Barton.
So?
I don't understand. Uncle wouldn't do...
Uncle apparently has. He also, would appear, fancies himself in costume.
Well, he used to be very much interested in the stage. He acted for a while a long time ago till the family objected.
Archie?
Got it. Nero Wolf's office, Archie Goodwin speaking.
You recite very nicely, Goodwin. This is Kramer. Let me have Wolf, huh?
Mr. Wolf? Inspector Kramer.
Yes, Inspector?
The papers haven't been carrying it, Wolf, but you're working on the Santa Claus case, aren't you?
Possibility?
You didn't send Goodwin down to headquarters on a possibility. Never mind. We're working on a line down here, Wolf. Now, look, if it doesn't strain your professional ethics, you might be able to help.
How?
There's a bank on the corner of 34th Street and Carlisle. We got the thought that suppose a gang was preparing to take that bank tomorrow morning. Those Santa Clauses have been on the corner for nearly a week now. They might have noticed something about the bank's routine, guards or what have you, that could interfere with the gang's plan.
A mighty ingenious and imaginative thought, Inspector.
Hey, you didn't say yes or no.
I have at the moment no opinion.
That's all you're going to give us?
At the moment. However, Inspector, in a very little while I shall give you, the murderer. Archie, Miss Barton will remain here. As for you...
Yeah?
You will return to 34th Street and find our coffee-loving friend. You will persuade him in whatever manner you think best to return here with you.
Huh?
Yes. You know, I think it possible you may be able to put that quarter on the expense account after all.
You.
What? Oh, why? I've seen you before.
Yeah, I've learned to love the neighborhood. That's why it's going to break my heart.
What is?
Leaving it with you.
With...
It's sensitive about having guns pulled on me tonight.
Let go of me, will you?
Not until
I... Let me go of me, will you?
Gun looks in a lot better shape than you do. You're coming with me.
Oh, where?
Mr. Wolf would like to see you.
Nero Wolf?
Yeah.
Well, why?
He's trying to salvage a quarter.
Ah, Archie.
Uh-huh. Complete with, he wouldn't give his name. He did have a gun to it, though. This one.
Yes. Archie, you know Miss Barton, of course?
Hi.
And Mr. Stevens? He joined us a moment ago. Miss Barton thought she'd be happy if he were here.
Hello, Stevens.
That's not the only reason I came. My brother is still missing. I'm concerned.
Yes. You, sir, will you sit down? Watching people stand makes me uncomfortable.
I don't have to.
You do. Archie is stronger than you are.
All right.
That's better.
If you don't mind, Mr. Wolf, I've never been here before, never met you. But you look as though you could handle things. I think my brother's been kidnapped.
Possibility we shall have to consider. Miss Barton, perhaps you have a theory, too?
Well, I don't know. Uncle's been behaving strangely for weeks now.
In what way?
Well, I'm not sure. Wayne...
Well, of course, John's always been a little peculiar, but I'm afraid I saw nothing especially strange, outside of this Santa Claus stunt, of course.
I see. Miss Barton, your uncle played Santa Claus all week on one of the corners of 34th Street in Carlisle.
I know.
On two other corners, two other men indulged in the same activity. Those two other men are now dead.
Oh, no.
Well, wait. Mr. Wolf, you mean they were killed by mistake for Barton?
It is true that one man, made up of Santa Claus, looks very much like any other man similarly costumed. But the answer is no. One of the two men was shot in his home after he had removed his costume.
Well, then, what connection?
Miss Barton, in the event that you wanted to hide a tree, where would you hide it?
Hide a tree? Why, I wouldn't even begin to know.
If you were very clever, you would hide it in a forest. If you wanted to hide a murder and were very clever, you would adopt the same principle.
Wait. You mean that if someone wanted to kill Uncle and didn't want to be suspected, he'd...
go about murdering several people with an ostensible, if lunatic, reason. He would, let us say, go about killing Santa Clauses.
I get it. Then people would think the man he really wanted dead for a special and private reason had been killed for something that didn't point to him.
True. That was why two Santa Clauses were murdered tonight. The third Santa Claus, however, the real object of the murderer's attention, was luckier or suspicious. He fled.
Do I have to hang around here and listen to all this?
You do, my unwashed friend. Mr. Barton fled, and the murderer was in a quandary. He had, so to speak, invested in two murders merely to make the third one confusing. But he found himself unable to commit that third murder. He couldn't find his victim. Could he ask the police to do so? Hardly. But he might try to inveigle a private detective such as myself into the job.
That makes sense, Mr. Wolf, but why would my brother have deliberately fled from your house? I mean, he was protected here, so... But do I make myself clear?
Very clear, Mr. Stevens. Archie, that gun you took from the dirty gentleman, you still have it?
I still have it.
Then would you mind pointing it at Mr. Stevens here until the police remove him?
All right, come along, Stevens. Well, that's the end of Mr. Stevens. Inspector Kramer will take good care of him from now on. But now, Mr. Wolf, Laura and me and the refugee from a washcloth over here would still like to know how and why and who was involved.
I knew two people had a motive for John Barton's death. Laura Barton and Wayne Stevens. One of them proceeded to kill Santa Clauses in the hope that the police would assume those killings to be the work of a lunatic.
The paper certainly hopped on that assumption.
Yes. However, John Barton, aware that his life was in danger, escaped his murderer and hid.
In this house?
No. A man in Santa Claus costume came here and said he was Barton. However, he was an obvious imposter. He proved that by his flight when his niece came here.
You mean he could fool you, but he knew he wouldn't be able to fool me, so...
Precisely, therefore, was not Barton. Who was it? Who else had disappeared at the propitious moment?
The butler, Pleasant.
True. I distrust coincidence. Stevens needed an accomplice, hence he sent Pleasant here.
And Pleasant would give you a song and dance about Barton's danger and then scram. You'd start investigating, discover Barton was missing, try to find him, and lead Stevens to his victim, huh?
I frustrated that part of the plan by insisting on Pleasant's remaining here, which he did until...
That part of it's fine. But how did you choose between Laura and Stevens?
It was Stevens who knew, without being told, that Barton had been in this house and had fled from it.
Yeah. You yourself mentioned that Stevens had only been here a moment, so you hadn't told him.
Obviously, the butler phoned him as soon as he had hit you over the head and escaped. Furthermore, the butler masquerading as Barton had attempted to throw suspicion on Miss Barton. That convinced me of her innocence.
Well, you've done it again, Mr. Wolf, except for one minor detail.
You're not very successful at irony, Archie. What minor detail?
Where is Barton?
In this house.
Huh? When did that happen?
You arrived home with the gentleman sitting near you.
The bum? Wait a minute. This I ought to be able to figure out myself. Laura said Barton used to be an actor. That's item one, huh?
Yes, Archie.
Also, why is a supposed tramp hanging around a deserted intersection for handouts? The answer is he wasn't. He was keeping an eye out for trouble he knew was after him. Oh, so it turns out I gave a quarter to a millionaire.
Uncle! Your uncle! Oh, that is...
I know, my dear. Yes, I'm Uncle. I did a rather decent job, didn't I? No one recognized me. Except, of course, you, Mr. Wolf.
Not recognition, Mr. Barton. Logic. Archie, open some beer for us.
Yes, sir.
Logic, eh? Well, whatever it was, Mr. Wolf, I owe you a good deal. How can I ever repay you?
Oddly enough, the answer is simplicity itself. Make out a check.
You have been listening to The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe, starring Sidney Greenstreet. Tonight's transcribed story was based on the characters created by Rex Stout. This is an Edwin Fadiman program produced and directed by J. Donald Wilson. In the cast were Larry Dobkin as Archie Goodwin, and Howard McNear, Grace Lennard, Vic Rodman, Herbert Butterfield, Bill Johnstone, Gene Bates, and Bob Bruce. Next week at this same time, Nero Wolfe and Archie will bring you The Case of the Bashful Body. Don Stanley speaking. 3 chimes mean good times on NBC.
The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A small boy is reported missing from his home. His age, 9 years. Foul play is suspected. Your job? Find him.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, December 22nd. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on the way into work, and it was 3:55 p.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide. Hi, Joe. Ben? Well, here's the file on the Webster case. Remember all the follow-ups been made? Yeah. I get it. Homicide, Friday.
This Levinson, Unit 113J. Got something for you.
Yeah, Harry, what's doing?
Doherty and I are out here on Commerce Avenue, 4656, trying to track down a 9-year-old boy.
Yeah, what's the story?
The kid's missing, suspicion of foul play.
How long's he been gone?
About 2 hours. Looks like a job for homicide.
How do you figure?
The kid was last seen playing in the backyard of his home.
Yeah?
We checked over the yard.
Did you find anything?
Bloodstains, lots of them. They look new.
Ben and I left a message for Chief of Detectives Thad Brown. And then we went over to the crime lab, picked up Lieutenant Lee Jones, and drove out the Arroyo Seco Freeway to Collis Avenue. It was an average neighborhood. Number 4656 was a one-story green stucco residence situated on the corner of Collis Avenue and Harrison Drive. Beyond the backyard was a tract of undeveloped land covered with scrub oak. Harry Levinson from Highland Park Juvenile was waiting for us in front of the house.
Back this way, fellas.
Coming, Lynch?
Wait, I get my bag.
Who notified you that the boy was missing, Harry?
The mother said she went out to do some Christmas shopping about 11 this morning, left the boy home. She came back about 2 this afternoon, he was gone.
What's the name?
Johnstone. The kid's name is Stanley, 9 years old.
Was this gate open like this when you got here?
Yeah, I haven't touched the thing. I hear the stains over here, Lieutenant Jones, along the edge of the walk. See?
Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, quite a few stains, huh?
Yeah. Looks like it might be blood. Try some benzodine on. There we are. See what happened.
Where's the kid's mother now, Harry?
In the house. Doherty's talking to her.
Did you talk to any of the neighbors?
People next door, the ones on this side. They couldn't tell us anything. There it is, fellas.
Yeah, Lee.
These spots I covered with benzodine, they're turning blue. Bloodstains, all right. You can't say definitely whether it's human or animal blood.
Do you have to go back to the lab to run it through?
Yeah, biological precipitant test. Hand me one of those glass files from my bag, will you?
Yeah, sure. Okay, here you go.
Thanks. Scrape some flakes off for a test. There we are.
How soon can you tap the blood for us, Lee?
Precipitant test won't run more than 20 minutes. It'll take 3 or 4 hours to run a blood grouping, though. That's it. Anything else you want to check?
Levinson? Anything else?
Oh, yeah. Right here in my handkerchief. Empty shell. That marker over there by the rose bush? That's where I found it.
On the 22, huh?
Yeah. Might tie in, might not. Mark it and dump it in this envelope, will you? There you go. Right here.
Did you get a missing broadcast on the boy, Harry?
Doherty did about a half an hour ago. Here's a description here.
Thank you. Will Mother know about the bloodstain?
No, we didn't tell her. She's worried enough already.
She has no idea what might have happened to her boy, huh?
No more than we do. She checked all her friends and relatives. We're covering the neighborhood. No trace so far.
Not much to go on.
Bloodstain. Empty cartridge.
Yeah, it could mean 100 things.
Any ideas, Friday?
Just one, and I don't like it. 4:30 p.m., Thursday, December 22nd. The neighborhood search for 9-year-old Stanley Johnstone continued. Lee Jones went back to the crime lab to start the precipitant test and the blood grouping. Levinson and his partner Doherty from Highland Juvenile stood by. We called Chief of Detectives Thad Brown, and he ordered up a special detail to aid in the search for the missing boy.
Ben and I questioned the boy's mother, Mrs. Ruth Johnstone, a woman in her early 40s. She seemed fairly calm under the circumstances.
Miss Johnson, is your boy Stanley in the habit of wandering off without telling you where he's going?
No, he's not in the habit of wandering off, but he has done it before.
Well, when was the last time, Miss Johnstone?
You don't have any children, do you, Sergeant Friday?
No, ma'am, I'm not married.
Well, there comes a time in every young boy's life when he feels that it's time to leave home, go out on his own. Usually happens somewhere around 8 to 10.
I think I know what you mean. I have a boy.
Well, then you know how it is. My husband and I scolded Stanley one afternoon after school, and he was quite put out about it. Thought George and I were unfair. Packed a few of his things and left.
Well, how long was he gone?
Oh, no time at all, about 2 hours. I was worried about him, but my husband said to leave him alone. But every boy had to go through that stage.
Well, then you think that he's run away from home again this time?
Yes, I think so. He's been gone about 4 hours now, and I have a funny feeling about it.
Did you and his father have some misunderstanding with the boy recently?
Well, that's just it. We haven't. I don't mind telling you now that we're talking about it. I am getting worried.
Well, is there any place around that he might like to visit, a hobby shop, playground, someplace he might be?
Yes, there's Jensen's model shop, little Sharon Burroughs, but I've already called there and he hasn't been seen all day. I've called all his friends and they have no idea where he is either.
Well, we'd like a list of all of his friends and the places that he was known to frequent.
Yes, all right, I'll give them to you. Where do you suppose he is?
Where's your husband now, Miss Johnson?
At work. George works for the city. He's a fireman.
What house is he stationed at?
Engine Company 12. He's working the A platoon. He'll be home tomorrow morning. I haven't told him Stanley's gone.
Well, is there any chance the boy might be down at the firehouse with his father?
No, he seldom goes down there anymore. No, I don't think he's there. I'm awfully worried. May I call my husband?
Certainly, go right ahead.
You know George will be worried. Engine Company 12, please. Stanley's been gone too long. Hello? May I please speak with George Johnstone? This is Mrs. Johnstone. Thank you. Oh, I hate to call George at his work.
Yes, ma'am. Does your husband own the gun?
Yes, he does.
What caliber, do you know?
It's a .45 automatic. You got a knock. George? This is Ruth. George, is Stanley down there with you by any chance? Oh. No, I can't find him anywhere. He wasn't here when I came home from doing my shopping. There are 2 policemen here. No, I said there are 2 policemen here. No, dear, I'll call you if we don't find him soon. All right, dear. Yes, you too. Goodbye. I didn't think he'd be with George.
At 45, is that the only gun in the household?
Yes. Why are you asking about guns? Has anything happened that you're not telling me about?
No, ma'am, just routine checking. We'll have to take a look at that 45 if you don't mind.
Maybe I should tell you we do have another gun in the house, but it's all wrapped up. George bought it for Stanley's Christmas present.
What if we could see it, please?
Yes, well, will you have to unwrap it?
Yes, ma'am, I'm afraid so.
It's in the closet. We had to hide it. Let me see. Look, here's a paper it was wrapped in. Stanley must have found it. It's gone. You see, here's the gift card and the box the gun came in, the rifle.
I wonder if I can look at that box, ma'am. Thank you. How about it, Jim? 22 caliber. Thursday, December 22nd, 5:15 p.m. It was getting dark. The search for the missing boy continued. We checked the list of Stanley Johnstone's friends. None of them or their parents had any idea of his whereabouts. We talked with Levinson again. He'd been in touch with the detail combing the neighborhood. They'd found nothing. We went down to Collis Avenue and 10th Street, the service station on the corner.
One nickel, you?
Oh, I got one. Will you watch the pad?
Yeah.
City Hall?
2667, please.
2667?
Crime Lab, Jones.
Hi, Lee. Joe Friday.
Yeah, Joe. Any sign of the Johnson kid?
No, not yet. How are you coming?
Finished the precipitant test. It's human blood.
Yeah?
Working on the blood group now. Do you know what type the Johnson boy has?
Well, I didn't want to upset his mother. Thought I'd wait till the last thing. We're in the neighborhood.
Check with the family physician. That way you won't disturb it.
Yeah, I figured on that. Just a minute, Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Boss just pulled up. Okay. Thad Brown's out here now. I'll check you later, Lee, huh?
All right, Joe.
All right, bye.
Oh, this way, Joe. Gentlemen, how's it going?
We just checked with Lee Jones.
Yeah, I know. It's human blood. What do you think?
We talked with the boy's mother, Mrs. Johnstone, found the gun missing.
Yeah?
Caliber's the same as the empty casing Levinson found. It's 22.
You said the gun was missing?
Yeah, the Johnstones were going to give it to the boys as a Christmas present. They had it hidden, but it's gone.
Any idea who took it?
Well, they left the Christmas wrapping behind. I think it was the kid.
22 rifles, huh? 9-year-old boy. When's he gonna learn? First, it's carbide cannons on the 4th of July. The city issued ordinance after ordinance. And a few thousand kids around the country had to lose their eyes, fingers, hands before the parents would give us their full cooperation to outlaw them.
I know what you mean.
Sure you do. You and every other cop in the country became the heavies trying to clamp down on them. Well, it's the same story. This time it's guns for Christmas.
Well, I know what you're thinking, but we're not sure yet.
Listen, Friday. There's a city ordinance against giving a gun to a kid. You know that.
Yeah, I know that.
There's a missing boy and a missing gun. There's blood on the ground and an empty shell. That's enough for me.
Well, we're going to stay with it. Something's got to break.
Yeah? I hope it's not the hearts of that kid's parents.
Hi, Chief. We're looking for you, Friday. What do you got, Harry?
Found the gun. New 22 rifle. I'd say it's been fired recently. Where'd you find it, Levinson? Back up there in that scrub oak behind the Johnstone house. Mrs. Johnstone identified it. Buckley took it down the crime lab.
Thanks, Harry. Miss Johnstone okay?
Pretty sick now. Doherty came up with something else. What's that? There's another one missing. An 8-year-old boy.
6:30 p.m. We talked with Officer Doherty about the other missing boy. He told us that his name was Stephen Moorheim, 8 years old. His family had just moved into the neighborhood. It seemed that no one besides the Moorheim family knew that the boys played together. Mrs. Moorheim told us that Stephen told her that he was going out to play and that he'd be home by 6 o'clock for dinner. She told us that he was an unusually prompt boy and almost never overstayed his playtime. We got a description of the Moorheim boy and put out a missing broadcast. We called the Johnstone's family doctor. He told us that Stanley's blood was type O. At 7 p.m., we talked again with Mrs. John Moorheim.
Are you sure Mrs. Johnstone doesn't know where the boys are?
She has no idea, Mrs. Moorheim.
Oh, this is terrible. Just awful. I feel there's more to this thing, something you're not telling me.
Well, there's no use to upset you until we know a few things for sure.
And you're holding back something.
Well, now, please try not to worry, Miss Moorheim. There are certain things that we're going to have to ask you, routine questions in any kind of investigation.
Is there anything else you want to know?
Yes, ma'am. What is your boy's blood type?
It's a funny question. Do you think anything's happened to him? Have you found him and you're not telling me?
No, ma'am, we haven't found him, and we don't think anything's happened to him.
His blood type?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I think I have it written down in Stevie's baby book. Yes, here it is. It's type O.
Thank you. I wonder if I might use your phone?
Yes, of course, it's in the hall.
I'll be right back then. Okay. 2667, please.
2667?
Crime lab, Banker.
Hello, Ray. This is Joe Friday. Is Lee there?
Just a minute, Joe. Take 2, Lee. Jones speaking.
Checking back, Lee.
Did you get the blood types on the 2 missing boys?
Yeah, both type O.
So are the stains, Joe. Type O.
p.m., Thursday, December 22nd. Still no sign of either of the missing boys. Chief of Detectives Thad Brown went back to headquarters to direct the search from there. He dispatched another detail of 50 men to aid in the hunt for the missing youngsters. 8:30 p.m. It was getting a little colder. The citrus growers were warned to expect a freeze. We went up the block to see Mrs. Johnstone. Her husband had quit work early and returned home. We talked with him for a while. He could tell us nothing more than we already knew. We still had not informed either of the families about the blood stains and the empty cartridge casing which had been discovered in the backyard of the Johnstone home. It was more than possible that they had a right to know about our findings, but Ben and I felt that there was no cause to add to the distress of the two families at this time. If the 2 missing boys were found alive and well, then the blood stains and the cartridge would be of no concern to the relieved parents. At 8:40 p.m., Ben and I left the Johnstone house and went to the home of Mr. and Mrs. John Moorheim.
Miss Moorheim, you said your husband worked at a market.
Yes, he telephoned about 15 minutes ago. Said he's closing up right away. He'll be here any minute. I wish Stevie would call, come home. It's so cold out tonight. All he had on was a thin cotton jacket.
We'll try not to worry. We're doing everything we can. He'll be all right.
Stevie's father's such a sensitive man. He and the boy are so close. I know he's terribly upset.
Now, you're sure there's no place that you might have forgotten? Someplace where the boy might be?
No place. No. If anything's happened with the boy, it'll just kill John.
No.
You sit still. I'll get it, Miss Moorheim.
Joe?
Yeah, Harry.
The Johnstone kid, he's been found.
He's home, Sergeant. He's come home. Thank God he's all right.
Where's he been? Did he tell you?
No, he didn't. His clothes are all dirty and he's acting strange. I've never seen him like this.
How do you mean, Miss Johnston?
Well, he just came to the front door and said, "Hello, Mom." And he sat down in a chair and stared at the floor. He won't talk to his father and me.
Do you mind if I talk to him?
No, go ahead. I asked him about the little Moorheim boy, but he wouldn't tell me a thing.
Where is he now?
Right over there in the living room.
Looks all right.
Yes. Son, this is a police officer. He wants to talk to you. Don't be afraid, dear. He only wants to ask you some questions. Son. You see, Sergeant?
Stanley, look at me, son. Come on, youngster, get your head up there. That's better. You had your mother pretty worried, you know that. You want to tell us where you've been?
We should try to get him to eat a little something.
You hear that, son? Want something to eat? Stanley, there's another little boy up the street who hasn't come home. You know where he is? His father and mother are worried about him, too. Just like your folks were. We're going to ask you to help us find him.
I killed him. I killed Steve with the .22. We were only playing, but I killed him.
How do you know you killed him? Maybe he's only hurt now, isn't it?
No, he's dead. I know he's dead. The gun went off, and we forgot we put bullets in there.
Where is he, Stanley?
I hit him. I was scared. I didn't want anybody to find him.
Where did you hide him, son?
In a cave up on the hill. I didn't mean it. He was my pal.
Do you want to show us where, Stanley?
Yes, I'll show you. Please, don't send me to jail.
9:15 p.m., Thursday, December 22nd. 9-year-old Stanley Johnstone led the way up the hill behind the backyard of his home. He showed us the wagon that he moved the body in. His father came along with us. About 50 feet from the crest of the hill, the boy pointed to a thicket of scrub oak. There we found a small cave holding the body of Stephen Moorheim. There was a single bullet wound in his chest just below his heart. He was dead. We covered the body.
Stanley, how did it happen?
I knew my folks were going to give me the gun for Christmas. I knew where it was, and I got it. There was a box of bullets with it.
Were you pointing the gun at Stevenson?
No, sir. No, sir, I wasn't. It was Steve's turn to play with it. I was chasing him. He tripped over that stump there, and he fell. Gun hit him in the stomach, and it went off.
Well, why do you think you killed him if you're telling us the truth?
I'm telling the truth. Honest, that's the truth.
Well, I believe you, son, but why do you think you killed him?
It was my gun. Stevie'd still be alive if I didn't go and get it. Should have waited till Christmas. It's all my fault.
Well, where have you been all this time?
In the cave with Steve.
What were you doing in there, son?
I was praying. I was praying for God to make him alive again.
After a thorough investigation, Ben and I were convinced that the shooting of Stephen Moorheim was accidental. Lieutenant Lee Jones' findings substantiated the Johnstone boy's story even to the smallest detail. We put in a call to the coroner's office, and we acquainted him with the facts. He designated a local mortuary to handle the body, pending autopsy, and granted us permission to remove the body to the Morheim home. Mrs. Morheim collapsed. The family doctor was called. Ben and I sat in the living room to wait for John Morheim, the dead boy's father.
Edith? Edith?
Mr. Morheim?
Yeah, you the police?
Yes.
Well, where's Edith? Where's my wife? Has my boy come home? Have you found him?
Yes, sir.
Well, where is he? Steve? Stevie? Where's Steve? He's hurt, isn't he?
Yes, sir, yes.
Well, where is he? I want to see him.
He's hurt bad, Mr. Morheim.
Where is he? I want to see him. How bad?
Pretty bad.
He's dead. All right, I go in.
Yes, sir, if you want.
Will you go with me?
Sure. Don't make it any harder on yourself, Mr. Morheim.
I want to see my boy.
Mr. Morheim.
Listen to me, son. We got you a lot of nice things for Christmas. Everything you wanted. I got you the 3 new cars for the train. That one with a searchlight on it really works, son. Got you that new switch you wanted. A lot more track. Oh, now you can have big layout. And you know that new baseball that we saw? I got it for you. The cowboy outfit you want.
Mr. Morheim. Go on, you.
What happened?
It was an accident. He was playing with a Johnstone boy up the street. Playing with a gun. It went off.
What was the other boy's name?
Stanley Johnstone. It was an accident. Mr. Morheim, where are you going?
I want to see that boy.
We had no idea what the dead boy's father had in mind. We didn't feel that we should try to restrain him. Ben and I went along with him up the street to the Johnstone home.
I'm Stevie's father. Where's your boy?
I'm sorry. We bought the rifle. We were going to tell him not to use it unless his father was with him until he learned how to treat firearms.
Where's your boy?
Right here. Won't you come in?
It's all right, Miss Johnstone.
You the boy that was with Stevie?
Yes, sir.
What's your name?
Stanley.
I know it wasn't your fault, Stanley. Wonder if you'd do something for me.
Yes, sir.
I've got a lot of nice presents for Stevie. I know he'd want you to have them. I want to give them to you Christmas Eve.
Mom? I think that'd be a fine idea, son.
Come on, Ben.
Well, what's it all prove, Joe?
You don't give a kid a gun for Christmas.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 24th, 1948, a coroner's inquest was held in the county morgue, city and county of Los Angeles, state of California. In a moment, the results of that inquest. At the coroner's inquest, it was officially recorded that Stephen Morheim's death was the result of an accident. Stanley Johnstone was absolved of any legal responsibility for his friend's death. heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Now, Frank Sinatra, transcribed as Rocky Fortune. NBC presents Frank Sinatra, starring as that footloose and fancy-free young gentleman, Rocky Fortune.
Did I ever tell you about the time I got mixed up in a plot to murder Santa Claus? Yeah. It all started when I answered a Christmas ad for a department store. The ad said, young man of good character as auxiliary store detective and other duties, 2-week employment. So, next day I am an auxiliary shamus for Quackenbaum's department store. Kind of a high-class Fifth Avenue dispensary where for only $50 you can buy your girl a mink toothbrush. And for an extra $5,000 you can get her a coat to match.
This way, Mr.
Fortune, Rocky Fortune, Mr. Prim.
Yes. This is 5th floor, children's toys. Note, please, Santa's workshop and the enchanted igloo. This will be your post.
What do I do?
Just keep an eye on the merchandise. Quackenbaum's has had a good deal of shoplifting recently.
Yeah, especially in the jewelry department, eh?
We don't like to talk about that, Mr. Fortune.
Mister, it's been on the front page of all the newspapers for a week. $8,000 worth of pearls.
Wow. The thief will be apprehended in good time, have no fear. Well, I must get back to my office.
Just a minute, Mr. Prim.
Yes?
What happens if I see a gunner?
A what?
A lifter, a thief.
Apprehend the criminal with the merchandise and bring both to my office behind the elevators. The name Lysander Prim is on the door.
Check.
Oh, and one other thing.
Yeah?
At lunch hour, you will relieve Santa Claus.
You mean put on a beard and everything?
Oh, it's just for half an hour. As a matter of fact, you start in exactly 5 minutes.
I'm not exactly built for this.
Neither is our present Santa. They're running thin this year. Just ask Big Elf to help stuff you.
Big Elf?
Santa's helper. The large fellow in the elf suit.
Oh, sure.
Good luck, Mr. Fortune. The honor of Quackenbaum's is in your hands.
At $44.50 a week, Mr. Quackenbaum is getting a bargain. Big Elf, whose name is Marty, weighs about 250. He helps me into Santa's suit, and I take over inside the magic igloo while Santa goes out for some chowder. I embarrass a couple of mothers by promising everything the kids ask for, and I'm really living it up, having the time of my life when a little girl about 6 comes in all by herself. She's a pretty little thing, too, with blue eyes and freckles. On one leg is a light steel brace. Jingle bells, jingle all, and that's what I want for Christmas. Well, hello, honey. You here all alone?
Yes, sir.
Well, what can I do for you?
I have a note for you.
A letter for old Santa, huh? Ho, let's have a look. Dear Santa, you know what we want for Christmas. We better get it or you'll never live to make those Christmas Eve deliveries. Signed, you know who. Well, did you write this letter yourself, honey?
No, sir. A man gave it to me.
What did he look like?
A big man with a black mustache. He gave me a nickel, too.
Heavy spender, huh? Honey, what's your name?
Gail. Gail Grayson.
And what would you like Santa to bring you for Christmas, Gail?
I'd like your elf.
You mean Big Bonehead out there?
Oh, no. Not the man in the elf suit. I mean the elf doll. The one with the red silk suit and the green hat.
Oh, well, that's pretty expensive, honey. Maybe your mommy and daddy can't afford it.
I don't have any mommy and daddy.
Oh. Well, you leave your name and address with Santa, and I'll see if we can't arrange for something. It might not be that same doll, but...
That's the one I want.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, look, Gail.
Gail?
Oh, Gail, there you are. I told you to wait outside the man's office.
I wanted to talk to Santa about getting that elf doll.
Honey, I told you that doll cost too much.
Santa says maybe he can arrange something.
Santa's wrong. Look, mister, I've just been seeing a man about trying to get a job in this place so we can afford to eat. I don't have money for expensive dolls.
Well, I'm sorry, miss.
Well, you've no business building up false hopes in children. They put so much faith in this.
Well, if you just let me explain...
Come around and explain Christmas Eve if you can.
Well, I'd like to, but I don't even know your name.
This is my sister Laura, and we live at 65 Bleakman Street, 5 flights up Santa...
Gail, for heaven's sakes. Come along.
You won't forget the doll, will you, Santa? Please don't forget, please.
Lose a customer, Jack? I'm afraid I lost a friend, too. Cheer up. Maybe you won't live long, then you won't need a friend. Why don't you just stick to being a big elf, huh, Marty? Don't be a wise guy, Fortune. Me? I'm never a smart aleck. By the way, how do they spell elf? O-A-F? After lunch, the real make-believe Santa Claus comes back, and I turn over the suit, beard, and stuffing. I'm glad to get back to being a store detective. That big elf is no pleasure to work with. I keep thinking of little Gail. Well, let's face it, I keep thinking of her big sister, who's got eyes like Dresden china and a figure like a Lamarge teapot. I wonder if I'm ever going to see her again. I don't have to wonder long, because right away things begin to happen.
Help! Dopsy! Catcher! Catcher!
All right, hold it.
Oh, let me go.
Take it easy. Well, Laura Grayson.
Who are you?
Santa Claus, remember? My name is Rocky Fortune. I'm also the store dick in this
Oh,
department.
Mr. Fortune, please. I don't know why I took it.
Well, let's see what we've got here.
It's the elf doll, the one Gail wanted.
Oh, baby, if you're going to shoplift a doll, they got better ways worked out than just pick it up and run with it.
I had to take it. I couldn't disappoint her. I couldn't.
Yeah, I guess it was partly my fault.
Well, I suppose you'll turn me over to the police now.
Well, hold it. Lady, this ain't for general publication. Between you and me, I'm the world's worst toy store detective. Too much larceny in my blood. So I'll just turn around for 20 or 30 minutes, and if you're not gone when I turn back, I'm going to put the pinch on you.
You're letting me go?
Please, let's not be vulgar.
Well, thank you, Rocky.
Hey,
What?
you forgot the doll.
But...
I was going to buy it for her anyway. Besides, I get it for only $3 because it's a display model. Now beat it.
Oh, Rocky, I could kiss you.
Go ahead.
I will. Merry Christmas.
And a Happy New Year to you. Wow. The kid slips down the stairway with the elf doll, and I am still wearing a lipstick on my cheek when Mr. Prim boils over. He looks so much like a clothing store dummy you expect to find a price tag on him. Right behind him is Marty, the big oaf elf.
Mr. Fortune.
Oh, hi.
Where is she?
Where is who? Whom? He. The dame who stole the doll from Santa's workshop. Oh, you are a little elf, aren't you?
Mr. Marty here tells me he saw you catch her. Where is she?
Overpowered me. She must be a lady wrestler or something.
Mr. Fortune.
Tell you what, though, Mr. Prim, just to make everything okay, I'll pay for the doll.
What?
No kidding. You see, I know the young lady, and I was going to buy it for her anyway, so I...
Well, this is highly irregular.
Oh, come on, Mr. Prim. Think of how proud Mr. Quackenbaum will be when you tell him you unloaded that shop-worn display model. Huh?
Well, it's highly irregular, but go ahead. The sales clerk will make out the proper form.
Well, thanks, Mr. Prim. I'll do that.
Hey, Fortune.
Yeah.
What was the dame's name?
What's it to you?
Just curious, you know.
I know. Stay just as you are. After closing time, I go into the employee's dressing room for a quick wash-up and a change of linen. Place empties out when my pal, the store Santa, slaps in after a hard day at the igloo. He takes off his red suit, and I see he's built like a Japanese wrestler with a nose like Rudolph the reindeer, only it ain't from drinking melted snow.
Well, good night, everybody.
Good night, Herm. Looks as if the detectives and the Santa Clauses are the late workers in this department, huh?
Yeah, just you and me now.
Just you, Santa. I'm blowing right now.
Just a minute.
Yeah?
That girl who stole the elf doll.
What about her?
Mr. Prim mentioned that you know her.
So?
I'd like to know her name.
You're the second guy in a half an hour. What is this?
Just what I said, Fortune. What's her name and where does she live?
Look, I know you've been making a list and checking it twice, Uncle, but just why do you want to know?
I had my eye on that elf doll myself. For my kid. I'd like to get her for her.
They got brand new ones in stock.
I'm interested in that one. So the name, huh?
Sorry, Uncle.
Fortune. Maybe I don't make myself clear. I want that girl's name and address. I want it very bad.
You know you shouldn't use that tone of voice. It don't sound like you got the holiday spirit.
I'm going to use more than a tone of voice if you don't unclaim.
Sorry, Sam.
Okay, Fortune.
Okay, Bob. You want to fight?
I'll try.
What's her name?
Why, you
hook, I'll twist your... Gentlemen, please, just what is going on here?
Well, let Samson here tell you.
I was just showing Mr. Fortune here a couple of judo holds that might come in handy next time a young girl overpowers him.
This is not a gymnasium, gentlemen. I'll thank you to leave and report back promptly tomorrow morning. Good evening.
I managed to stagger out of my own power and head back to my flat. I figure I'll have some supper and then locate Laura Grayson for another look at that elf doll that everybody wants to get his hands on. Also, for another look at Laura Grayson. Yeah. I stopped to line my flu at a local cafeteria and go up to the flat. I walk in like I live there, which I do, and discover I have guests.
Hello, Rocky.
Well, Sergeant Hamilton J. Finger. If I knew you were coming, I'd have baked a cake with poison in it.
A cake with a file in it would be more useful where you're going, Rocky, my old pal.
You are referring to the House of Detention?
The same.
Well, sir, if my days as a process server serve me correctly, they make mention of a thing titled due process, which means you don't arrest a guy without you can make some kind of charge, right?
Right.
So?
So we would like to revolve the wheel of our conversation around the axle of your understanding down at the Irish Clubhouse.
Concerning?
Concerning a murder.
You said a murder?
Yeah.
Who?
Rocky, this is going to come as a shock to a naive young boy like yourself. But there ain't no Santa Claus.
How come?
How come? Because somebody stuck a knife in him. He's laying on his face over in Quackenbaum's department store. Let's go.
I spent the next few hours as a guest of the city in the squad room, or sweat box, as it is affectionately remembered by inmates of various steel academies in the state. And mine host is Sergeant Finger.
All right! Now for the last time. You had an argument with him, right?
He had one with me.
Okay, he socked you.
Yes.
You socked him.
Right.
You got interrupted.
Right.
You left.
Right.
Then you come back and stabbed him.
Wrong.
Okay. Let's have your story.
Somebody was after him, Sarge. I got a threatening note that was supposed to go to him.
Where is it?
Here.
This is kid stuff.
You ever hear of a kid threatening Santa Claus? Come on, Sarge.
Okay, so it ain't kid stuff. Who sent it and why?
That's what the taxpayers hire you to figure out. Maybe it's got some connection with a jewel robbery.
What do you know about the jewel robbery?
Just what I read in the papers. Somebody snatched $8,000 worth of pearls.
You, maybe?
Don't be ridiculous. I wasn't even working there when it happened.
What makes you think it was an inside job?
The newspapers. They got the opinion from the police. You familiar with this organization?
Don't get funny.
Did it ever occur to you that maybe Santa Claus was in on that jewel job?
As a matter of fact, Rocky, the guy in that Santa Claus suit has a record as long as your arm. Only one thing is wrong.
Yeah?
We can't arrest him for his own murder.
So why pin it on me?
You're available. Also, whoever stabbed him was in on the inside. It happened after the store closed. Also, there's $8,000 worth of pearls floating around someplace and a reward for 1,000 to whoever finds them.
No kidding.
Yeah, you want to claim it? All you have to do is confess you killed a guy, turn in the pearls, collect the reward.
And go to the chair. I'll tell you what, Sarge. You do me a favor and I'll confess to the murder. The jewel robbery and all of the other old crimes you're too stupid to solve.
What's the favor?
Drop dead.
Rocky, someday, pow! Right in the toy department.
Come on, Finger. You know as well as I do I couldn't have done it.
What makes you think so?
That note the lieutenant handed you a few minutes ago. You checked my alibi and I was feeding my face in the cafeteria when he got stabbed. So stop giving me the needle and let me go home.
Fortune, someday!
I know. Pow! Can I go now?
Don't you like it here?
It's great, but I got a date with a doll. Finger turns me loose and I jockey my way right down to Laura Grayson's apartment in a cheap village flat. It's about 9 p.m. when I get my finger on the doorbell.
Just a moment.
Rocky.
Hi. Can I come in a minute?
Of course.
Where's Gail?
Asleep. I hope so, anyway.
Listen, honey, I have to ask you something.
Well?
Have you got the doll?
Of course. Gail's so happy about it, she's ready to fly.
Look, I'll have to ask you for it back.
You what?
Well, I'll get another one to replace it, a brand new one, really. But right now, I gotta have that one.
Sure, Rocky. Sure.
It sounds kind of funny, and I can't explain it now, but you tell the kid I'll get her another one, huh?
It isn't necessary, Rocky. Wait a minute, I'll get it for you. Here.
Well, thanks. I have to get back to the store. I'll call you tomorrow, maybe for dinner, huh?
Uh-huh.
Good night, Laura.
Good night, Rocky.
I knew what she was thinking, so I didn't try to make any excuses. I just took the doll and headed back to my flat to take a look inside. It was as empty as an eggshell in a fox farm. I was just reaching for the phone when it rang. Hello?
Rocky?
Yeah.
Well, this is Laura. Rocky, something terrible's happened.
What's wrong? What's the matter?
Well, just after you left, a man came, a big man with a black mustache, and he asked for the doll. Said he was from the department store police. I told him you'd taken it back to the store, and he left.
Well, what's so terrible?
Well, he must have awakened Gail, and she overheard us. Anyway, when I went into her room just now, she was gone. Rocky, I don't know what to do.
She heard you say I was taking a doll to the store?
Yes.
Maybe she's on her way over there now to try to get the doll back.
At this hour?
Honey, 6-year-old kids don't know from the wages and hours law. Look, I'll take a run over there just in case she shows up. You notify the police and meet me. I stuffed the kid's doll in my overcoat pocket and flagged a cab over to Quackenbaum's department store. There's no sign of the kid out front, so I leg it around to the delivery entrance. No sign. I decided to check inside and show my pass to the night watchman at the entrance.
Hold it, mister.
Hiya, Pop. I work here.
Let's see your card.
Here, right here.
Yeah, store dick, huh?
That's right, Pop. Now, listen, I'm looking for a little girl about 7 years old. Wears a brace on one foot. You seen her?
What would a kid like that be doing here after hours?
Her mother thinks she got lost in the store.
Oh. Well, I only been on a couple of minutes. I ain't seen her.
I'm going up to check the toy department on 5. You keep an eye out, will you? If she comes along, send her up to 5. I'll be waiting.
Okay. I'll keep watch, Fair.
Thanks. I go up to the toy department. In the darkness, it looks as eerie as a graveyard on Halloween. I figure maybe Gail managed to slip in past the watchman, so I give a yell. Gail! Almost scare myself to death. What's that?
Nobody here but us toys, boss. Get 'em up, Fortune.
I assume that ain't a lollipop stick in my spine.
That's right, smart boy. Step over here in the light.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
Just a little shopping trip. I'm looking for a doll.
You don't say.
I do. So hand it over.
Help yourself. It's in the coat pocket.
Toss it here.
There.
Now stand still while I have a look inside. Okay, wise guy, where's the stuff?
Stuff?
Don't play dumb. It was $8,000 worth of pearls from last week's job inside this doll. Where are they?
Search me, pal. Maybe you got the wrong doll.
I got the right doll, Buster.
What makes you so sure?
Santa Claus told me. Before he died.
Looks like you and Santa Claus were in on that robbery.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Until he tried to double-cross me.
What happened?
I heisted this stuff and gave it to Santa Claus to hide. He hid it so good I couldn't find it. He wasn't going to tell me where it was until I gave him more than half. Only I changed his mind for him.
Yeah, with a 4-inch blade.
Uh-huh. You should be a store detective. You're real smart.
I take it the stuff was in the doll.
That's right, Rocky. Only it ain't there now. And you had that doll.
Which means?
Unless you unclam, I may have to give you the same treatment I gave Santa Claus.
I'm telling you, the pearls were gone when I got that doll home.
And I'm telling you, if they were gone, it's because you took them.
I don't have them. Sue me.
Rocky, old man, it's Christmas time and goodwill to men and all that, and I hate to knock off 2 guys in the same day. But if you don't spill them pearls in 5 seconds, I'm going to put lead in your brain. Now, where are they?
I don't know.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Rocky.
What the...
Gail, hi. Come back here, Fortune. Here's a football for Christmas, boy. I let Big Elf have it in the puss with a football from the toy counter and grab the kid. We duck into the maze of counters and crawl along until we get behind some packing crates. Marty's cursing and looking for us, and he's still got a gun, too.
Rocky, I had to find you. I wanted to...
Shh! Don't let him hear us. Crawl into this packing case.
Rocky, I'm scared.
Do as I say.
Okay, Rocky.
Fortune! It's no use, Fortune. I'm going to find you, and when I do... Come on out, Fortune! Come on out!
Rocky, I'm scared.
So am I, kid. We gotta do something. Let's see what they got in these boxes. Mighty Mike mechanical police car. Oh, there's a big help. Hey!
What?
Let me have one of those.
Here. What are you going to do, Rocky?
You'll see.
I'm coming, Fortune.
Look out, Marty!
What's that?
It's 2 shots. He's got a revolver that holds 6. 4 to go. Let's see now.
There's something, Rocky. Super rocket ship.
Fine. Let's try this on. Ready? Go!
Fortune, are you crazy? I'm going to get you.
3 and 2 are 5. One more. What's in that box?
There's an atomic blaster, junior space cadet size.
Why not? Let's try it.
I hear you, Fortune. I hear you now.
Try this, Clem. You missed, Marty. That's pretty bad shooting.
Maybe, punk, but this ain't going to be. What the...
Those things got to be loaded before you can shoot them, Marty, remember?
You dirty...
Here's something else for Christmas. My gift to Santa's helper was a Louisville slugger right on top of the noggin. And just as he went out, the lights went on. Suddenly the place is crawling with humanity.
Rocky, Gail, are you all right?
We're fine, baby. Well, look who's here, late as usual.
No wisecracks. This the missing kid, lady?
Yes, officer, thank you.
Who's the stiff?
This is the bum who killed Santa Claus.
Boy, you should have seen Rocky beat him with that bat.
By the way, Gail, where's the stuff that was inside the doll?
You mean the pretty marbles? I thought they came inside the doll, Rocky. It was a sort of surprise.
Some surprise. Do you have them?
I think so. In my pocket someplace. Oh, here they are.
Sergeant? Here you are, sir. Just in case you ain't got all your marbles.
Marbles? Hey, those are the pearls that were heisted last week.
He's got a magnificent mind, this Sergeant Finger, doesn't he? Gail, I'm sorry about the doll, honey, but unless I'm mistaken, you got about $1,000 reward coming for this stuff.
$1,000? Rocky, it's too good to be true. I must be dreaming.
Want me to pinch you?
Couldn't you just kiss me instead?
Why not? Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
NBC has presented Frank Sinatra as that footloose and fancy-free young gentleman, Rocky Fortune. Others in tonight's cast included Ted Von Eltz, Mary McGovern, Kay Stewart, Frank Gerstle, Jim Nusser, Barney Phillips, Bill Justine. Tonight's script was written by George Lefferts. Andrew C. Love directed. And now, to tell you about next week's adventure, here's Frank Sinatra as Rocky Fortune.
Next week, I managed to get involved in a fixed fight. Some gamblers want me to stay down for the long count, from here to eternity. Tune in and I'll tell you all about it. Till then, I'll see you around.
Visit with Fibber McGee and Molly tonight on the NBC Radio Network.
Tales of the Texas Rangers, starring Joel McRae as Ranger Jace Pearson. Another authentic reenactment of a case transcribed from the files of the Texas Rangers. Names, dates, and places in the following story are fictitious for obvious reasons. The events themselves are a matter of record.
Music means all things to all people.
Music is relaxation, adventure, Elysian fields of dreams come true. And at this joyous holiday time, music is Christmas. We of NBC feel proud of our Monday evening lineup of truly fine music programs. Tomorrow means more fine music on NBC with the Railroad Hour featuring Gordon MacRae and Lucille Norman in The Happy Prince, a special Christmas Eve production to add to your listening pleasure. Also tomorrow, there's The Voice of Firestone with guest Eleanor Stever. Later, there's the Telephone Hour with guest soloist Blanche Thiebaum. And tomorrow, enjoy the Christmas program of the Mario Lanza Show with Mario Lanza, lovely Giselle McKenzie, and Ray Sinatra's orchestra. Yes, Monday is your invitation to music over most NBC stations. Make a program note to hear the Railroad Hour, the Voice of Firestone, the Telephone Hour, and the Mario Lanza Show tomorrow. Monday means music on NBC. Hear it on this station.
And now, from the files of the Texas Rangers, the case called Christmas Payoff.
It is 4 p.m. on the afternoon of December 25th, 1940, in the small West Texas town of Rockfield. In his office, Dr. Edward Hartley and his nurse are just clearing up after treating an emergency case, which has taken the doctor away from his family on this Christmas Day.
Doctor, before I leave, would you like me to say...
Alice, I would just like you to scoot on home where you should have been hours ago.
And what about you? I think it's a shame. The one day in the year families should be together and you have an emergency.
Well, anyway, old Mrs. Thompson will feel a lot better now for the holidays. Pretty nasty infection.
Mm-hmm.
Guess doctoring's the one business can't be run by a time clock.
And nursing's a part of doctoring, so I leave when you do.
Trapped. Sure would have loved to spend the whole day with the youngsters, though.
No, they probably won't even let you back in the house.
Christmas got them so excited I don't think they even know I'm gone. Oh, by the way, you sure you won't have supper with us?
I'd love to, Doctor, but... Oh, no.
Huh? What's the matter?
Doctor, you come over the window for a minute?
Not another patient.
I think so.
Oh, well, guess the Christmas tree can wait a little longer. Who is it?
I don't know. Here, look. That man just getting out of the car.
I don't recognize him. That arm must be in pretty bad shape. Bandage clear to the elbow.
And why didn't he come in 2 hours ago?
Hmm? What do you mean?
That man was sitting in that car 2 hours ago. Only was parked in front of the house next door. I wonder...
Come away from there.
What, Doctor, what...
I don't want him to see you. Now, go on. What else?
Well, just an hour later, when I took Mrs. Thompson out to her car, he was still there.
And he meant it. He really meant it.
Doctor, what is it?
Alice, now listen to me. Don't ask any questions. I want you to get in the supply closet and stay there.
What?
Whatever you do, don't make a sound. No matter what happens out here, don't give yourself away. You understand me? Your life depends on it.
What is it? Why don't we call the sheriff?
I'm going to. Now, hurry into the closet. Now, remember, not a sound. I should have known it'd come. I didn't know when. Come on. Operator, this is Doc Hartley. Listen carefully. I have to speak quietly. Get the sheriff to my office as quick as you can, and don't call back. Just get him out here. Can't stall any longer. Come in. Just a minute. Here goes. Yes?
You Doc Hartley?
That's right.
Well, can I come in?
Oh, of course. Come in. No, that's the supply closet. My dispensary is this way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you'll just get up on the table. Would you like to lie down? More comfortable for that arm.
I'll sit.
That's a lot of bandaging. What did you do to that hand?
Think maybe I sprained it. You're the doc. Suppose you tell me. Always work this slow, Doc?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Where's your nurse?
She's gone home long time ago. Not even supposed to be working today. This is Christmas, you know.
Yeah, I know. Why don't you pull the last of the bandage off, Doc? Don't you want to see my hand?
I know what's in it.
Then I'll do it myself. There. See? There's your Christmas present, Doc, in my fist. Nice 38. Don't you want it, Doc?
Why are you doing this? Why?
Maybe I shouldn't give it to you.
You guessed what it was. Spoiled my surprise. Nah, you look like a nice guy. I'll give it to you anyway. Look at me, Doc. You know what it's for. Merry Christmas, Doc.
Sheriff Lon McGill, on arriving at the scene of the crime, found Dr. Hartley dead and Nurse Alice Leonard in a state of physical collapse. He immediately asked for the help of the Texas Rangers. Ranger Jace Pearson was assigned, joining the sheriff at the doctor's office a short while later.
Photographer will be out of your way in a minute, Jace. The nurse I told you about's in the other room. Maybe you want to talk to her first.
Yeah, thanks, Sheriff. She's still as bad off she was?
Oh, she's some better now. It's a rough thing for a woman to have to go through.
Yeah, plenty rough.
In here, Jace. Alice. Alice, this is Ranger Pearson. Alice Leonard, Jace. Been Doc Hartley's nurse for 6 years.
Howdy, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I just can't seem to get a hold of myself. It was so horrible. Horrible.
I know how you must feel, ma'am, but you'll be helping a lot by answering a few questions.
I've tried.
Fine. Sheriff here has given me what you told him, so I won't put you through that again. Just want to clear up a few things. You know of anyone who might have wanted Doc dead?
Oh, what sort of person would want that? Doctor was a wonderful man. Never had an enemy in his life. Sheriff, he'll tell you that.
That's right, Jace. Doc was a real popular man in this town. I never heard a word against him.
Friend didn't put him where he is now, Sheriff. Ma'am, you say you saw the killer's face?
Yes, through the keyhole.
You think you'd recognize him if you saw him again?
Yes, I'm sure I would.
Good. Now, from their conversation, would you say the doctor knew this man?
No.
Yet when he saw him through the window, he made you hide in the closet.
Yes, that's right.
He say anything at all about the man?
No. Wait, I remember now. He said something about... He meant it.
He meant it?
Yes.
What is it, ma'am?
I just remembered something, a note.
What note, Al?
A few weeks ago, the doctor got a letter. I opened it because I take care of his mail.
Go on.
Inside was just a piece of paper with words cut out from newspaper, pasted to it. It said the payoff is soon.
What did the doctor say when he saw it?
Well, he just laughed, said it was some sort of joke. But I caught him sitting and staring at it a few times after that.
You know where that letter is?
Well, I think it's in his desk.
Miss Leonard, you remember anything about the car this man drove?
No, just that it was black, a sedan. Oh, and the front fender had a big dent in it. I remember I could see it from the office window.
I think that'll do for now, ma'am. You go home and try and get some rest.
Tell the deputy I said to drive you home, Alice.
I will. I hope you find the man that did this. I hope you find him.
Oh, poor woman. She was mighty fond of the doc, Jace. Must have spent some bad minutes in that closet.
Yeah, the doc had a couple of bad minutes, too, Sheriff. The photographer must be finished in there by now. Let's take a look.
Nothing's been touched in there, Jace. Everything's just the way we found it. Thought you'd want it that way.
Thanks, Sheriff. Let's have a look at the doc.
I'll just whip the sheet off him here.
He shot at close range, all right. Powder burns. The angle of the shot seemed to bear out the nurse's story. Ballistics will fill us in later. Let's have a look at this desk.
Okay, Jace? Well, there's not much on this side, Jace. What's the matter?
Drawer full of Christmas candies. That'll be a nice Christmas for those poor kids.
Hey, wait a minute, Jace. I think this is what you want.
And that's it. The payoff is soon. No envelope with it?
I reckon Doc threw that away.
It'll be a tough one to trace. Cheap paper, the message in newspaper captions. And it's used a lot for blackmail because it's so hard to run down.
Well, where to now, Jace?
Has the doc's wife been told about this yet?
No. Been holding off. I sure don't relish it none. Those kids and all.
Let's tell her together then, Sheriff. It's a little easier that way.
Thanks, Jace. Anything more we can do here?
No, but before we go, I want to check on that black sedan with a smashed front fender. See if it's on the stolen car list.
Sure thing.
If you can spare a couple of deputies, Sheriff, I'd like them to do a house-to-house on this street. Maybe somebody else got to look at that car or the killer.
It's a good idea, Jace. There's not much to go on, is there?
There's enough. They always leave enough. And this is one killer I want, Sheriff. I want him bad. A black sedan with a smashed front fender was on the stolen car list. We finished our calls and left. 15 minutes later, we stood in front of a large, neat house on a well-kept street. Staring at the front door, Doc Hartley would never open again. Through the parlor window, we could see 3 laughing kids and proud grandparents around a Christmas tree. It was a rough doorbell to ring.
I thought you'd never... Oh, I'm sorry. I was expecting my husband. Oh, Sheriff McGill.
Howdy, Miss Hartley. Can we come in?
Oh, why, of course. Please do. I imagine you want to see Ed. I'm sorry. He had an emergency, but if you like, I can...
Mrs. Hartley, this is Ranger Pearson.
Howdy, ma'am.
Hello, Ranger. Pleased to meet you.
Ma'am, can we speak to you privately? I mean, in another room, away from them.
Of course. Come in here. Well, what is it?
Ma'am, it's best to say it quickly. Your husband, he's been killed.
Oh, no.
Here, you better sit down, Miss Hartley. There.
Dad.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
How did it happen?
He was shot, ma'am, by a man who came in asking for treatment. I want to find that man, Mrs. Hartley. I know how you feel at a time like this, but if you could answer a few questions, it'd help.
I'll try.
Has anyone threatened your husband that you know of? Did he seem worried lately?
No.
Did anyone call him today beside the woman he went to treat?
Just a man.
What man?
A little past noon, the phone rang. Some man asked for my husband. I told him he was at the office on an emergency, and he just hung up.
You recognize the voice, Mrs. Hartley?
No.
Just one more question, ma'am. Do you know of anyone who had a grudge against the doctor who'd have wanted this to happen?
No. Nobody. Nobody except...
Except who?
Oh, I was thinking of that man, the one he sent to prison.
Sent to prison, ma'am?
I think I can explain that, Jace. You mean that Nixon thing, Miss Hartley?
Yes.
Well, it happened a couple of years back, Jace. A fellow named Al Nixon robbed the payroll of a gas cracking plant about 40 miles from here. Shot during the getaway, though. Came through here and forced Doc Hartley to treat him at gunpoint.
You know what kind of stretch they gave him, Sheriff?
No, I don't remember. You see, that was before I was sheriff. I was living at the other end of the county then. Well, anyway, seems Doc somehow sneaked a phone call while he was treating Nixon, and the police got him. Isn't that right, Miss Hartley?
Yes. They sent him to Huntsville.
Mrs. Hartley, I'm sorry to put you through this. We're going to leave now. Is there anything we can do for you?
Nothing. There's nothing anyone can do. How will I tell the children?
Call from KTXA ought to be in any minute now, Sheriff.
I still don't see why you asked him for that rundown on Nixon, Jace. You thinking maybe he's out?
I don't know, Sheriff, but I sure want to find out. Nixon's got a real good motive for this killing.
And I got to go with you on that. But
hold it, Sheriff. That's it.
KTXA to Unit 10.
Unit 10 to KTXA. Go ahead.
Have information you requested. Al Nixon, sentenced life term, Huntsville Penitentiary, December 1937. Money from gas cracking plant payroll never recovered.
10-4, unit 10 clear.
Any exhausted?
Well, that kind of kills that, don't it, Jace? Man with the best motive of all is serving life at Huntsville.
It's still too good to pass by, Sheriff.
What do you mean?
Look, Nixon may be in Huntsville for life, but that doesn't change his motive. It's still good. So good I want to see him. I'm going to Huntsville in the morning.
In a moment, we will continue with Tales of the Texas Rangers, starring Joel McRae as Ranger Jace Pearson.
Who catches tuberculosis? The young? Yes, but so do the old. And so do people of any race or nationality. 500,000 Americans are afflicted with TB. 40,000 a year die from it. Yet TB is preventable and curable. It can be controlled. How? One way is through Christmas seals. Christmas seals are the sole support of the 3,000 voluntary associations affiliated with the National Tuberculosis Association, which are fighting to wipe out TB in their communities. The greater the Christmas seal sale, the nearer we are to ending the scourge of tuberculosis. If you haven't already purchased your Christmas seals, you can still buy and use them. Be glad of this easy, inexpensive way to help others. Be grateful for the opportunity to help safeguard your own home against the dread white plague. And now back to Tales of the Texas Rangers, starring Joel McRae.
We continue now with Tales of the Texas Rangers and our authentic story, Christmas Payoff.
Next morning, I left Nurse Alice Leonard with the sheriff to begin the long job of trying to pick a killer's picture out of the gallery. Then I headed for Huntsville. I wasn't in the visiting room 5 minutes when Nixon was brought in. A brutal-looking little man who shuffled forward and sat across the table from me, waiting for me to talk. My name's Pearson, Nixon. Ranger Pearson.
What do you want, a medal for remembering your name?
I want some answers.
If I don't give them to you, you'll have me arrested, huh?
Remember Dr. Hartley, Nixon?
Yeah, I remember him. But go on. Ain't this good reason to remember him?
He didn't put you here. You put yourself here.
Hartley put me here. Oh, but don't you worry again about me, Ranger. I'll make out. You worry about Hartley.
Hartley's dead, Nixon.
You mean that?
He's dead. Shot to death. Something funny, Nixon?
Sure. Don't you get it? He put me in here, now he's dead, but I'm still alive. Ooh, you cuts, you're all so smart, ain't you? Sure, you got me, but you never got the money. And best of all, Hartley is dead.
You're in the right place, Nixon.
So that's why you're here. Maybe I killed him, huh? Sure, I'll confess. I just walked through the walls, knocked him off, and flew back like a bird.
Phone call for you, Ranger. You can take it in the office.
Oh, God, thanks. The girl's Nixon? Yeah, you can have him. This way.
Hey, Ranger, I killed him.
In there, Ranger. Thanks. Hello?
Sheriff McGill, Jace. How you making out?
Cold trail, Sheriff. Nixon's no help. How'd you come out?
Nurse picked out a picture, Jace. Swears it's him. Fella named Lou Crowder.
You run a make on him?
I sure did. He did the last 2 years in Huntsville. Released a week ago.
Beginning to fit, Sheriff. Any more on that car?
I was just coming to that. They found it about 100 miles from here. Abandoned in some brush just outside of Crest City.
I want to see that car, Sheriff. Tell him to hold it where it is. As soon as I talk to the warden, I'm heading for Crest City. Want to meet me there?
Sure thing, Jace. Meet you at the hotel.
Never can tell what's coming, Sheriff. That cold trail's all warmed up again. I had my talk with the warden and then met the sheriff in Crest City. As we headed for the spot where the abandoned car had been found, I kept thinking of Doc's wife and her 3 small kids. I was getting closer to a killer, and I liked it.
I don't know, Jason. No matter how I figure it, there's always a couple of loose ends.
Well, then try this, Sheriff. Al Nixon is due in life for a payroll robbery, and he's convinced it's Doc Hartley's fault. Now, that payroll was never found because Nixon hid it someplace before they got him.
Yeah, I follow that far, Jason.
In Huntsville with Nixon was Lou Crowder. Now, Nixon knew he wasn't ever going to get to use that money, so suppose he made a deal with Crowder. Crowder could have it if he killed Doc Hartley.
But what was to stop Crowder from just digging up the money and not killing the Doc?
Well, Nixon's too smart for that, Sheriff. Probably set it up so he'd let Crowder know where the money is after he was sure of Doc's death.
Well, it figures all right. But how would he let Crowder know?
By letter, Sheriff. The one told me Nixon's already written Crowder 3 times.
What good would that do? All mail coming out of Huntsville is censored, Jace.
I know, but the 2 men had plenty of time to rig a code when they were together in the pen.
Then a letter could be the answer.
That's right. Yeah, the highway patrol car up ahead must be where the car is.
Yeah. Yeah, this is it. Howdy, fellas. There's a car, Jace, just behind this brush. Jace, even if your figuring's right, what do you reckon this car is going to tell us?
Just one thing, Sheriff. That's it.
I don't get it, Jace.
You will. Look, would Crowder want to hang around a town he'd killed a man in?
No, reckon not.
But if he's expecting a letter from Nixon, he's got a light someplace to get it.
What are you driving at?
Put this together. This car's still in running order. Crowder didn't have to leave it. That makes Crest City a pretty good bet for the place the letter's going to be picked up.
But what if Crowder's already picked the letter up?
It's not likely. Nixon didn't even know about the killing till I told him today. He didn't want to be sure before he paid off.
What if Nixon double-crosses Crowder? Suppose he don't send the letter telling where the money is.
He'll send it, Sheriff. I got a good look at Nixon's face when I told him Doc was dead. He'll send it. Back in Crest City, the postmaster agreed to notify us the minute he got any letter postmarked Huntsville without giving it out. The very next day, the letter was there, and a man had come in for it, but was told it hadn't arrived. The postmaster had noticed the man was driving a car with a horse trailer attached. I got my horse trailer, and we set the trap in the post office the next morning.
You mind if I...
That's probably all right, Jace. You got the letter. Shall we take it? No. Hold it, Sheriff.
What's the matter?
I don't want to take a chance. He's probably armed. So these people may get hurt.
Well, what are you going to do?
Give him a lead and tail him. All right. Let's move up the front door and see where he goes.
I didn't expect one to kettle up if you want. You just got in that car, Jace. The one with the trailer.
He's pulling out. Come on.
You reckon he'll head straight for that money?
There's no doubt about it. He's not pulling that horse trailer for nothing.
He must be heading someplace he can't use a car.
It's all right with me. We'll get him, Sheriff. Wherever he goes, we'll get him. For almost 3 hours, we trailed Crowder by car, never getting too near him, just pinpointing him. When the country got rough, he left his car and switched to the horse he'd been pulling. So did we. We gave him a bigger lead and just followed his tracks.
Awful rough climb, Jace. You sure we're following him? I don't see any tracks.
We're following him all right, Sheriff. Didn't you just see that turned rock moist on one side? The hoof did that.
Beats me how you spot him.
Hold it, Sheriff. Oh. It's a drop-off just ahead. I want to look.
See anything, Jace?
Hold it. He's just over the drop, about 20 feet.
Is he digging, Jace?
Better than that, Sheriff. He's found it already. Now look, Sheriff, he's in a dead-end canyon. I'm going down after him. You cut along this ridge and close in from the base.
All right, Jace, but be careful. Come on, boy.
Crowder! Get your hands up.
You'll never take me, cowboy!
That's a warning, Crowder. Next one will be through your head. Now throw your gun away.
All right, don't shoot. You see my hands are up.
Keep them there.
Look, Ranger. There's $30,000 here. I'll make a deal with you. Take half the money. Just give me a chance.
Like the chance you gave Doc?
You're not going to get that money.
No, you don't.
Give me that knife. You all right, Jay?
Yeah, I'm all right, Sheriff.
You were taking an awful chance that way, Jay.
I know it, Sheriff.
I had a bad minute there when I saw his knife glint in the sun. Thought you'd have to gun him for sure.
I didn't want it that way. I had to take Crowder alive, Sheriff. He's my Christmas present to the warden at Huntsville.
In just a moment, we will tell you the results of the case you have just heard. And now, here are the results of the case you have just heard.
On February 3rd, 1941, Al Nixon was removed from Huntsville Penitentiary to stand trial along with Lou Crowder for the premeditated murder of Dr. Hartley. Both men were found guilty. The sentence, death in the electric chair.
The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Hiya, Case. Hi, Ethelbert. How did Santa Claus treat you?
Fine, just fine. I'm so full of Christmas spirit, I could even kiss the city editor.
What do you know? And me, I could even forgive and forget one or two of those Christmas neckties.
Hey, some of those things are Lulu's. You ought to see the one Marvin got. It lights up and spells a message.
Well, anyway, it's a beautiful sentiment.
What's it say?
The most wonderful words. Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, The Santa Claus of Bums Boulevard. Christmas, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the Blue Note Cafe. Ethelbert, the head bartender, gazes sympathetically at the two glum faces opposite him, sighs, and...
Casey, I know just how you and Miss Williams feel. It ain't right to have to work on Christmas Day.
The three of us should have different jobs, Ethelbert.
And say, Ethelbert, where's Herman Chittison?
He's having Christmas dinner with his family, the lucky dog. Johnny Paul dropped in to play the piano for us today.
Oh, good. Oh, my holidays don't mean a thing in our racket, Ethelbert. Newspapers must be printed.
And guys in my profession have to stand behind bars and make with bottles.
And lemons.
Oh, well, it might be worse. At least we ain't got family.
Well, that's what makes it worse for me. My family's 1,000 miles away.
I haven't got a family anyway.
Well, you've got sisters, Casey.
Sure, they're all married. They all got families of their own, and all 2,000 miles away.
My sister Edna ain't married, but you know Edna.
Yeah. Well, let's can this deep philosophical discussion, Annie. Get started for Hackett Street.
Hackett Street?
We have an assignment down there.
That's the crummiest street in town. Nothing but gin mills, flop houses, and bums.
Yeah, it's Bums Boulevard.
Why's your paper send you down there on Christmas?
For a story, of course.
Yeah. Ethelbert, you know, for the past 2 years, at exactly 1:30 on Christmas Day, a guy has shown up at the corner of Hackett and Finley with a wad of new $1 bills, which he's handed out to all the rummies around there. Then when his wad is gone, he's beat it, without telling anybody who he is, where he's from, or anything.
If he shows up again this year, City Desk wants pictures of him and a complete yarn about him. We'll play him up as the Santa Claus of Bums Boulevard.
The guy must be nuts, giving good dough away to a bunch of lushes who'll spend it on nothing better than cheap hooch. What kind of a guy is he?
Oh, probably a publicity hound, I guess. Well, come on, let's get started, Annie.
Yeah, we haven't too much time before 1:30. So long, Ethelbert.
So long, and Merry Christmas.
Yeah, it'll be a very merry and very Christmassy Christmas among the panhandlers and drunks we're going to see. You know, the holiday spirit's a lot of malarkey anyway, unless you got a family. Come on, Annie.
Yeah, you're right, Casey.
Yeah, he's right. Walter, bring up some lemons.
Casey, we're terribly late. That man will have given away his dollar bills and be gone by the time we get
Annie, can I help it if we ran out of gas 4 blocks from the nearest open filling station?
You could have had the tank filled before it went dry.
Oh, sure,
you?
I'm wrong. I'm always wrong to hear you tell it. All you women do is nag.
And a Merry Christmas to you.
Oh, I'm sorry, kid. I'm a dope.
I'm sorry. I love the bracelet you gave me, Casey.
Huh?
You have exquisite taste.
That looks swell on you. Hey, I wanted to get you a ring.
A ring?
Yeah, with your birthstone. Amethyst. See, I know it.
Oh,
Right? Didn't see any I liked.
it's just as well. I don't care for amethysts and rings.
No?
No.
Oh. Wish I could afford a family of my own, Annie.
What makes you think you can't?
My pay envelope and the cost of living. Well, maybe someday.
But maybe when that someday comes, no woman will want you.
You may have something there. I've been a bachelor so long, Annie, it's become a habit. You know, this morning when I woke up in my dinky little apartment, I felt, empty and lonely and useless. I haven't got a home.
I felt the same way.
I wonder, maybe, Annie, if the two of us...
What about the two of us?
Well, Oh, nuts. Look at this crummy street and the people on it. How can anybody think of home and a family life down here? How can anybody believe in anything or dream of anything? Every one of these bums, Annie, had big ideas once, and now look at him.
The street is frightening, isn't it?
If anybody reaches here, he's finished.
It's the last stop. There's a crowd lined up at the next corner, Casey. Is that where they...
Yeah, that's the place where the dollar bill Santa Claus has shown up before.
Well, maybe he's been there and gone.
No, if that were so, those rum-dums wouldn't be standing in line. They'd all be in the nearest gin mill spending the dough or fighting to get it away from each other. Well, I'll park the car here and walk the rest of the way.
Yeah, the car may be safer away from that mob.
That's how I figure. Let's see, I got the camera. Lock the car. Okay, let's go.
It's 1:45, Casey. According to his previous schedule, Santa Claus is 15 minutes late. Maybe he won't show up.
It'll be a big Christmas thirst on Bums Boulevard if he doesn't. I'm sorry.
Pardon, mister. I didn't see you.
Okay, sister. Take it easy now.
So I'm all right. Don't I know you?
I don't think so. Holy. Miss Arnold.
We're both mistaken. I don't know you, and you don't know me. Excuse me for bothering you. Goodbye.
Casey, what?
Annie. That dame is Julia Arnold.
Julia Arnold?
She was a big actress, a great star.
Julia? She was a Broadway sensation when I was in college. Why, she was beautiful. Oh, Casey, that woman
The
can't
way
be
she
this-
denied her identity proves she is, Annie. I heard that Julia Arnold hit the skids, but
Oh, Casey.
she was married to a nice guy who got killed in the war, and then her kid died. It's not nice, is it?
And spare dime, mister? Just a dime.
I guess so, old-timer. Let me see.
I ain't a drinking man, mister. I'll spend it for food, not liquor.
You don't look like a rummy.
I ain't. I'm just old. You can ask anybody around here about Smitty, that's me. They'll tell you Smitty don't drink, don't steal. The worst they'll tell you about Smitty is he's just too old.
Look, I haven't got any small change, but here's a buck.
Well, here's another for me.
$2? Oh, God bless you, boy.
Forget it.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas.
You didn't look like a faker, Casey.
No, just old.
Christmas.
There are plenty of fakers in that mob we're coming to, though.
Oh, they look like a line of zombies.
Yeah. Dead and won't lie down. Not that big guy over there, though, Annie. That big, heavy-set mug, the green lumberjack coat.
He looks like a prize fighter.
I know that guy. His name is Boots Driscoll. He's a yellow skunk. He's mean as a copperhead. You know, that louse would steal pennies from Kid, and he's the boss of Bums Boulevard.
I gather you don't like him.
I don't.
Well, look who's here.
Hello, Boots.
Hi, Casey. I ain't seen you since...
Yeah, since the last time you came out of the big house.
That's right. Who's the good-looking dame with you?
This lady's a friend of mine.
Well, ain't you gonna introduce us?
Nope.
Oh. What are you doing down here in my territory?
Came to get a line on the screwball who hands out new dollar bills on Christmas. Apparently he's late.
Yeah, the louse. When he shows up, I get a good mind to kick his head in.
Yeah, not until after he hands out his dough, of course. Think he'll show up?
The folks think so because they want to think it. Me? I just stick around and keep everybody in line.
So you got them all lined up?
Yeah. First come, first served, if and when Santa Claus gets here. All right, stop pushing, you bums. Get back in line there.
Of course, you get something for your policing service.
Well, why not? Them jerks would tear one another to pieces fighting for a grab at them bucks like they did last year if I wasn't around. This year, I'm taking a cut of 35 cents out of every bum here to keep things peaceful.
Boots, you've got all the instincts of a big racketeer.
I'll say.
Where's the racket part? This is a legitimate business.
I guess it is at that for you. This way, you're getting the dough without using a gat or brass knuckles.
Say, if that's meant as a crack...
Skip it, Boots. I'm nearly as big as you are.
Boots.
What?
Casey, that awful-looking man.
Boots.
What do you want, Creep?
Creep's a good name for him.
Hey, the guy who passes out dough. Santa Claus. I just found him.
You found him?
Yeah. In the alley back of Fritz's gin mill. Somebody socked him on the head and took all his dough. I think the guy's dead.
Dead?
Dead?
Yeah, dead.
Dead? Hey, you bums stay here. Show me, Creep.
Yeah, come on.
We're going too, Annie.
I'll say we are.
There he is, Boots. Lying behind them beer kegs.
Yeah, I see him, Creep. Hey, his pockets have been turned out. He's been rolled.
There ain't a dime left on him.
You'd be sure of that.
He's so still, Casey. Is he dead?
No. His heart's good and strong, Annie. He's only been knocked out.
He's such a little man. Such a mild, gentle-looking little man. Who could have done
I'll
it?
find out who took the dough he meant to give us, and when I do...
Shut up, Boots. The guy just opened his eyes. He's coming too.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Just a guy who wants to help you, mister.
My head aches.
Yeah. It'd be a miracle if it didn't. Been slugged hard.
Yes. Something hit me.
Did you see the rat who hit you? The rat who took your dough?
My dough?
Yeah, you've been rolled, fella. Your money's gone.
Oh, the money.
Who got it?
I can't say.
How much did you have on you?
$300 in new $1 bills.
$300.
Maybe the cops can get it back. Annie, see if you can find a telephone.
No, don't call the police.
Why not? You've been assaulted and robbed.
But my head doesn't hurt very much now. I haven't been really injured. And I'm sure the thief will return the money.
Return?
When he becomes aware that it belongs to his neighbors, to his comrades down here. You see, I meant to give it away.
You think the thief will return it on that account?
When he thinks about it, yes.
This guy must be nuts.
Thieves can be good people.
Mister, you haven't been around much.
You got as much chance of getting that dough back as I have of being elected a Supreme Court judge.
If you had taken the money, wouldn't you return it under the circumstances?
Me? Well, of course. I'm different.
Well, you're different from the guy who got the 300, Boots. He has it and you haven't. But maybe I'm wrong.
What do you mean?
At what time do you think you were hit and robbed, mister?
I entered the alley at about 20 minutes of 2.
And I've been on that corner where you met me, Casey, ever since 1 o'clock. Every bum in that line will say so. You can't pin this on me.
Okay, Boots, but you should understand my natural suspicion.
Yeah.
You, creep.
Yes, sir.
What were you doing in this alley when you found him?
Well, I was just walking through, honest. I seen a foot sticking out from in back of them kegs, and well, when I looked closer, there this guy was. Well, I didn't take his dough, Boots. Don't look at me like that.
I believe you, creep. Why shouldn't I?
Well, I don't.
Let go of my collar.
Shut up, creep. Mr. Santa Claus, whether you like it or not, I'm going to find a cop and have this creep guy searched.
Wait. You're not the wrong person. And I will make no complaint.
What?
There's nothing you can do, Casey, if that's how the little guy wants it.
It is how I want it.
You gotta let me go.
Okay. If you insist on being a sap, mister, it's your hard luck, not mine. Well, come on, Annie. Let's get out of here.
Well, I'd like to, Casey, but I've been assigned to interview this gentleman.
I know, that's so, yeah.
Interview me?
Yeah. To begin with, what's your name?
Why, Shepard.
Shepard?
Yes.
First name?
Uh,
Oh, Casey, catch him.
I got him.
Hey, the guy passed out.
That crack on the head did more damage than he admitted.
Look, there's a clinic up the street. We'll get him to a doc.
I guess you can take care of him alone, huh, Casey?
Yes, I won't need your help, Thicket
We parked our car near here, this alley, Casey's no
Okay, Annie.
Well, I'll be getting along myself, Boots. So long.
Oh, no, creep.
Hey, why you grabbing my arm?
You're gonna give me that $300 you took.
Our story will continue in just a moment. All of us at Anchor Hocking want to wish you a Merry Christmas. We hope that this great day has brought you all the joys that were so carefully planned. The gaily decorated tree, the happy exchange of gifts, the reminiscences of a united family group. Yes, Christmas is a great day for getting together, a time of goodwill, good cheer, and good food. Food that you can buy with all its freshness, taste, and purity perfectly preserved. For this, we have to thank the many great organizations who process and ship us our better foods, and who know that flavor, purity, and freshness are best preserved in clean, sanitary glass containers. Containers that preserve and safeguard flavor and taste while they permit you to see in advance exactly what you're buying. Anchor Hocking is proud that so many of the leading brands of food of all kinds come to you in Anchor glass containers, sealed with Anchor caps. Products of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Are you sure you feel all right now, Mr. Shepard?
Yes, Miss Williams.
Doc said you got a really nasty crack on the head. I'll drive you home. He wants you to stay in bed for a few days.
Thank you, but men are seldom as sick as their learned physicians say. I'm quite all right.
Just the same, we're taking you to your home.
Yeah. Where do you live?
Very close by.
What? You mean in this neighborhood?
Yes, but I have some unfinished business to attend to before I lie down, Mr. Casey. That money hasn't been returned yet.
If you get it back, Mr. Shepard, I'll believe in the faith that moves mountains.
Mountains have been moved by steam shovels, Miss Williams. And man's faith in himself created the steam shovel.
By that you mean you're going to do something to persuade the thief?
I shall only remain near the thief so he can find me.
I don't get you.
Casey.
Huh?
Look.
Holy... It's that creep guy.
His face is terribly bruised.
He must have crashed into a 10-ton truck.
Yeah, he's dragging himself along.
Hey, creep, what happened to you?
How did...
Boots beat me up.
Boots?
Yeah, in the alley after you left.
Why?
He thought I took that $300. He beat me up and then searched me. But he didn't find it because I didn't have it. Hey, buy me a drink, will you? I need a drink there.
Look, we're going to take you into the clinic and get you patched up.
No. When the docs get the mitts on guys like me, they send us to the hospital where we can't get no liquor. So, just buy me a shot, mister, huh? That's all I need.
I'm going to...
We'll serve this man best by doing as he asks, Casey. At the moment, his body needs its accustomed alcohol more than his bruises need medical treatment.
You're a wise guy, mister. You're a real gent.
Unfortunately, I have no money to give him.
All right, creep, I'll buy you a drink. And I'll go into a gin mill with you. While you tell me more about finding Mr. Shepard in that alley.
I already told you all I know.
Now, we'll talk about that later. Come on. We'll go into this joint here.
Yeah.
Oh, this is an awful place, Casey.
Yeah, it is. You stay outside, Annie.
Oh, why should I? There's another woman at the bar.
Huh? Yes. That's Julia Arnold.
Oh, I see. The actress.
Yeah. You coming in too, Mr. Shepard?
Yes, thank you.
Hey, Gus. Hey, give me a shot, huh? Give me a shot quick.
Well, I see you got the dough to pay for it, creep.
I'm paying for his drink.
Well, you gents and lady have.
Nothing for me.
Me either.
I'll have a little wine.
One of the gents ain't ashamed to have a drink with her like some me, Gus.
What kind of wine, mister?
Plain red wine.
Alky for me, Gus, and quick.
Okay.
All right, now we'll do some talking, Creep. Mr. Shepard says he went into that alley at around 20 minutes of 2. Where were you at that time?
Mr. Casey, no purpose can be served by questioning this man. I'm making no complaint to the police, and
You may condone a crime, Shepard, but I don't.
I don't condone the crime. I'm forgiving it.
Well, we wouldn't have much law and order if everyone did that.
Perhaps we'd have more, Miss Williams.
This guy just don't care about $300, eh?
Here your drinks.
Give me, Gus.
The money wasn't mine, Mr. Casey. I'd have given it away in another few minutes.
And a lot of good it would have done him. $1 a piece that'd slide across bars like this for raw alcohol. Mr. Shepard, you seem like an awful nice guy, but it's time somebody taught you the facts of life.
Few can teach the facts of life, Mr. Casey. Few but little children. Because man forgets the simplicity of childhood. He forgets that all the world is one great family. I think our friend Creep would like another drink.
Yeah. And thanks a million, mister. Hey, Gus.
Okay, Creep. Be with you in a minute.
Hey, Gus.
What do you want, Julie?
Another drink, of course.
You drank up the buck you gave me.
Casey, that fine actress.
Come here, Gus. Come here.
There's nothing anybody can do for her, Annie. Julia Arnold's hit bottom.
Look, I fooled you, Gus. I held out. I got another dollar bill.
Another brand new one, Julia.
Another new.
Where'd you get this dough? When you were in here this noon, you said you didn't have a dime.
Casey.
Julie found them, Gus. I found them, and I got more hid away.
You hear that, Shepard?
I heard.
When she leaves this place, we follow.
She's turned it into the same alley where you were robbed, Mr. Shepard.
I see, Miss Williams.
We saw her come out of that same alley just a little while before Creep found you.
Poor woman.
Yeah, it's a rotten shame. Julia Arnold was a fine person once.
She can be a fine person again. Casey, why didn't you let Creep come here with us?
Oh, because these bums all stick together. I know how they act. He might have tipped off Julia Arnold that we're trailing her.
She's going down into that cellar, Casey.
Come on, we don't want to lose her.
Wait. That man.
Boots Driscoll.
He was hiding behind those ash cans. Now he's going down into the cellar.
As though he were watching for Julia Arnold, as though he's following her now. Come on, let's go.
There are rooms down here.
She probably lives in this cellar.
Yeah, but which door?
Get out of here!
Her voice.
That door, Casey.
We're going in, all right. What? Let her go, Boots. I said let her go.
They broke my arm.
What's the big idea, Boots?
I'll ask her.
He came to rob me. He said he'd make me tell where my money was hid.
And you're going to tell me, all of you. Stick up your hands.
Casey.
The man has a gun.
I see.
Stick 'em up, I said.
Okay, Boots. But you're losing what little mind you ever had. A lousy $300.
Shut up, Casey. This is my territory. I'm boss, and I don't take no double crossing. Hand it over, Julie, or...
I haven't $300. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hand it over.
Don't shoot. I'll give you what I have. I found $6 bills in the alley today. Here are the 4 I have left.
You're bluffing, but I ain't. Give me that 300. Keep back, Casey. You get it first.
You're crazy, Boots. Listen.
Shut up. This is your last chance, Julie. Give me that 300 or...
Oh, Boots.
Huh?
She ain't got it.
Creep.
I got it. I stole it and I hid it. Here it is.
You lousy double-crosser.
Mr. Shepard, I'm sorry for what I did to you. I ain't never been no good. Standing at that bar with you, you drinking with me like I wasn't just a rat. I don't know. I had to get the dough I'd hid and bring it to you. I'm sorry I had to hand it over to Boots.
You gave it to him to save this woman's life, Creep.
Yeah, I guess I did. Another thing, I dropped them 6 new dollar bills on purpose in the alley when I saw Julie coming so she'd find them and spend them and take the rap from me.
There'll be no rap for anyone.
You said it. None of you birds are going to live to squeal on me.
You don't want to shoot us, Boots.
Don't I?
do you?
I got myself in too deep.
Not yet. You haven't taken life. And your life isn't finished.
I ain't gonna finish it and stir. I got a chance and none of you talk.
Yes, you have. Why don't you shoot us, Boots?
Well, I'm gonna.
When?
Shut up. I can't shoot a guy who talks like you do.
Words have never stopped a bullet or a true desire.
Nuts. Here, Casey, take this gat and this dough and send for the cops. I'm tired of being a phony tough guy.
Shall I send for the cops, Mr. Shepard?
If you wish, Casey.
You're running this.
We have $300. Everyone seems to agree that my original plan for its distribution was unwise. What do you suggest we do with it? May I have your suggestion, Creep?
I tried to frame Julie. Give it to her.
And your suggestion, Boots?
Give it to Julie.
It's yours, Miss Arnold.
Mine? $300. Well, I can buy a decent dress. Once I earned that much for a single performance, I can do it again.
If you believe so.
But I don't need this money you intended for the poor. I'm not poor. God gave me gifts I've squandered. I still have some left. They're all I need. Give this money to the really poor.
What shall I do with it, Casey?
Mr. Shepard? You're still running this.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. Perhaps among your Christmas gifts, you received a beautiful set of jadeite dinnerware. Then you already know how attractive it will look on your table. And in the months to come, you'll learn that jadeite dinnerware is as sturdy and heat-proof as it is lovely to look at. You'll be proud of your jadeite dinnerware because of its beautiful texture, its color, its flawless design. And your guests will hardly believe that this jade green dinnerware costs so little. But incredible as it may seem, you can buy a 35-piece jadeite dinner service, including 6 cups, 6 saucers, 6 dessert plates, 6 salad plates, 6 dinner plates, 1 vegetable bowl, a platter, and a sugar and creamer set for less than $5. And jadeite is also available in open stock at chain stores, department stores, and most other stores selling chinaware and glass. Remember the name, jadeite. That's spelled Jadeite. Jadeite, the newest triumph of anchor hocking. The most famous name in glass.
So Mr. Shepard gave the dough to that old man who panhandled you and Miss Williams, huh, Casey?
Yeah. Smitty, who didn't drink and didn't steal. Was just old.
What do you suppose Smitty did with it, Ethelbert?
How should I know?
He was so happy he had to make others feel the same way. He played Santa Claus.
You mean?
Yeah. He stood on the corner of Bums Boulevard and handed out those dollar bills.
Funny, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was like a little child who hadn't forgotten that all the world is one big family.
That's a pretty thought.
I got it from Mr. Shepard.
He sounds like a very interesting guy. What'd you find out about him, Miss Williams? Him personal, I mean.
Nothing. While we were watching old Smitty give his money away, Mr. Shepard wandered off and we lost him.
Think you'll find him again?
Well, I hope so.
So do I.
But you don't know his address or even what business he's in?
No. But he told me he was once a carpenter.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures, all products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Prime Photographer is directed by John Dietz. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Van Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.